Business cards, postcards, posters, banners, brochures, apparel, you name it. M13 will design and print nearly anything for your business. They have the right people in place and a reputation that keeps customers happy and coming back for more. They're a Chicago company that embodies the idea of business integrity. They live it every day. After all, in this country, you're free to do business with who you choose. Respect that freedom. Choose the best. For speedy turnaround, excellent service, and the best pricing in Chicagoland, choose M13 Graphics for all your design and printing. Online at M13.com. Visit M13.com or call now, toll free, 877-M13-1913. That's 877-M13-1913.
Hey there. We are MS Consulting Services. Old school IT consulting with cutting-edge results. We're a firm that is genuinely excited and proud to serve our clients. We entered the business world nearly 30 years ago and have since shared our expertise with clients nationwide. We specialize in system administration for legacy operating systems like OpenVMS and Unix, providing continuity assurance for your staff and systems. Our focus on personal connections helps establish lasting relationships, offering a deeper sense of fulfillment, all while maintaining a stable IT infrastructure. Seem like a nice change of pace? Check us out. You'll know what we're all about after just one call. Give us a ring at 1-800-MIT-0404 or visit mscsinc.com. Again, that's 1-800-MIT-0404 or visit mscsinc.com.
Between the Consumer Price Index, inflation, and job reports, it feels like you need a PhD in economics to fully understand the economic news happening around us every day. That's why you need the Everyday Economics Podcast. Join host Chris Krug and economist Dr. Orfe Devungi as they help you understand the economic world happening around you every day. Listen to the Everyday Economics Podcast at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcast.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
Replacing windows in the winter may seem counterintuitive, but the fact is, it's a great time to really feel the difference of high-performance windows from Valdicas.
When it's time to consider new windows, siding, and doors for your home, you need to look no further. Sebastian Gorka here to tell you about Valdicas. Valdicas has been the trusted name chosen by thousands of homeowners, and they should be your number one choice too. But what's really behind the name Valdicas? Over 25 years of a team dedicated to providing you with the best customer service experience and products that truly bring value to your home. They are a Pella Platinum Elite Status certified contractor for a reason. They have an A+ rating with the BBB, as well as high ratings and positive reviews on both Google and Houzz. Schedule your free in-house consultation at valdicas.com.
Ask about exclusive manufacturer warranties and the Valdicas 10-year workmanship guarantee.
Don't wait. Book today at valdicas.com. For the best in class, it's Valdicas.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We didn't get to it yesterday, but over the weekend, among many of the protest efforts from the resistance, you had Bernie Sanders and his pornographic, blasphemous punk rock band opening for him in Kenosha, his Stop Oligarchy tour kicking off. Well, in D.C., they had the Stand Up for Science rally. And it featured some of the greats of the past, the greats of the COVID era, including one Francis Collins, who used the occasion to introduce a new little ditty he penned. You know, he's quite the songstress.
Right. I remember that. He plays the guitar and sings, but he broke out in song at the rally?
An original work.
Noble dream. You got that? So it's just all the good people, but the second line, part of this family, and the last line, we're joined together by this noble dream. Do that with me. This is a song for all the good people. Come on. All the good people who are part of this family. This is a song for all the good people. We're joined together by this noble dream.
Oh, noble dream.
Well, this is a song for all of those dreamers. We're looking for answers to come our way. Scientists, doctors, students, all seekers, we share in the hopes for a much brighter day. Come on now. Well, this is a song for all the good people, all the good people who are part of this family. This is a song for all the good people. We're joined together by this noble.
The greatest songwriter in the history of NIH directors. There's no question about it. Francis Collins offering that. You know, Collins is a complicated figure. He definitely was a Fauci toady and a toady for the public health establishment that tried to squelch dissent and run right past the science and any questions about it, of course. But also, just to go back into the vault here on Francis Collins, of course, months after the fact, offered this kind of sort of confession about his participation at a little conference he participated in.
As a guy living inside the Beltway, feeling the sense of crisis, trying to decide what to do in some situation room in the White House with people who had data that was incomplete, we weren't really thinking about what that would mean to Wilk and his family in Minnesota, 1,000 miles away from where the virus was hitting so hard. We weren't really considering the consequences in communities that were not New York City or some other big city. The public health people, we talked about this earlier, and this is a really important point. If you're a public health person and you're trying to make a decision, you have this very narrow view of what the right decision is, and that is something that will save a life. Doesn't matter what else happens. So you attach infinite value to stopping the disease and saving a life. You attach a zero value to whether this actually totally disrupts people's lives, ruins the economy, and has many kids kept out of school in a way that they never quite recover.
Collateral damage.
So collateral damage. This is a public health mindset, and I think a lot of us involved in trying to make those recommendations had that mindset, and that was really unfortunate. It's another mistake we made.
Okay.
Well, that's an admission of
Yes.
some sort, as we talked about at the time, but of course, it still misstates the fundamental criticism. Yes, the tunnel vision. We appreciate that you're now repeating back to us what we were saying about you. You have this lane, you have this narrow area of expertise. This is a multivariate equation. You can only solve for potentially one variable, and you should stick to that. Or be telling people that this is the one variable we're trying to solve for, but these other variables are sort of beyond our core competency, and we're not the ultimate decision makers in terms of how to strike that balance. But we didn't quite get that. But it's more than we got from Fauci.
Right, or Dr. Birx. Deborah Birx.
But with that admission back in the day, just to update everybody's recollection, make sure we don't lose the narrative here, that admission fails to acknowledge is it wasn't a question from the critics of lives versus disruption of lives. It was a question of lives versus lives. So he's misstating the calculus that his critics were making. And the timing of this Stand for Science rally couldn't be better this past weekend.
Well, were the railing against Doge and cuts at NIH? Is that what it was?
Yeah, basically.
I know. I can't keep them straight, Dan. I'm sorry. There's so many of them.
And the reason it's so timely is because last week we had the confirmation hearing for Dr. Jay Bhattacharya to be the new director of NIH. Now, so even Francis Collins, when he is not fully in song, compare what you heard from Francis Collins to just a snippet from Dr. Jay Bhattacharya in terms of the upgrade that America is getting in that important post.
The proper role of scientists in a pandemic is to answer basic questions that policymakers have about what the right policy should be. Our role isn't to make decisions to say you shouldn't be saying goodbye to your grandfather as he's dying in a hospital. It shouldn't be to say you can't have a funeral because it's too dangerous. The scientists should say, here's what the risks are. And then you decide what the risk, whether you take it. The role of the scientist shouldn't be to say you can't send your kids to school for 2 years, that you can't you should close hospitals so that they can't treat heart attack patients. That you should not. The role of scientists should be to address those problems by giving good data, and then let people make the science should be an engine for freedom. Knowledge and freedom, not something where it stands on top of society and says you must do this, this, and this, or else. It shouldn't be pushing mandates for vaccines that have been like the COVID vaccines that were tested for a relatively short period of time. I took the COVID vaccine myself, but I think that the mandates that many scientists push have led to the lack of confidence that so much of the public has in science. If science is a force for freedom and for knowledge, it will have universal support. That's what the role of science is.
And boy, can you compare and contrast the level of thoughtfulness you get from Dr. J versus Dr. Francis Collins and most of the rest of the public health establishment during that time? And point of fact, a reminder for anybody who's forgotten, Dr. J was one of those hunted who has become a hunter. He was one of those that targeted specifically by Francis Collins and Tony Fauci to be shut up because he was asking thoughtful questions. He was offering constructive critique about maybe some of the blind spots that the public health establishment had when they were making decisions about idiot circles and masks and as you just heard him say, vaccine mandates, including leading lights you heard on this show from Stanford and Harvard, Martin Kulldorff, and Oxford, Sunetra Gupta, and so many more. These were the people that Francis Collins, he was maybe a useful idiot, but he still participated, and Tony Fauci and the COVIDian politicians tried to shut up. We don't want to hear from some of the leading epidemiologists who disagree with what our in-house epidemiologists and medical experts say, and that is anti-science. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Kevin in Boston, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, Dan and Amy, this ties in right now with the outbreak of measles in Texas and that community. You have RFK. I think he's advocating vitamin A, and truly the measles vaccine is a vaccine versus what they were advocating for COVID. So here it is.
Is that true? I know somebody who got the measles vaccine but still got measles.
Well, first of all, RFK is advocating for vaccination for measles.
Yes, he is, and you get it when you're a baby.
Yeah. So he's not eschewing vaccines in an ideological way, and of course people are watching. So he has made a statement in support of getting vaccinated for measles. Thanks for the call, Kevin. Somebody else that was at that Stand for Science rally that bears notice is this goofball, this crank that has become a media scientist, which is of course, the antithesis of a scientist, sort of an oxymoron, emphasis on moron. Bill Nye, the science guy. It was all fun and games when he used to go on late night shows and do like little sort of chemistry 300 tests for the hoi polloi to be wowed by science. It's another thing when he is elevated to some sort of thought leader when it comes to policy making and public health. And I mean, the plank in his eye routine here is really remarkable. Everything we know about COVID and the decisions that were made, the policies that were chosen, things that even Francis Collins and former CDC Director Redfield have conceded. And yet here is what you get from Bill Nye as a good representation of the anti-science left.
And so today, my friends, we demand that scientists not be censored, that there be legal safeguards to prevent political interference in their research, and that they be enabled to communicate their findings freely. Furthermore, we demand that all of us, the public, have access to scientific information. All the data, reports, and resources that were available before this president swore to uphold the U.S. Constitution in January of this year.
So in other words, Bill Nye wants everything that we demanded during COVID that people like Bill Nye were cheerleading the denial of. Everything that should have been provided during COVID to bring the public along, to be respectful of substantive questions and concerns that were raised, that was all dismissed by Bill Nye and his brethren. Now he's demanding what they refused to provide during COVID. Isn't that delicious?
So sad, too bad. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, our latest edition of Campus Beat. We'll visit Columbia College yet again. 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom and say good morning to Mike Scott.
5:32 here in Chicago. Ukraine appears to have carried out its largest drone attack to date against Russia. Overnight, Russian officials say over 90 drones were used to target Moscow. A couple were killed, according to reports. A stock market update. The market's having its worst start to the presidential term since 2009, according to the Dow and market data. Stocks suffered their weakest first 50 days of a presidency since Barack Obama's first term. But economist Peter St. Onge says this is to be expected as President Trump moves to cut government waste.
Trump's first job report, that just came out a couple days ago. We're back to 93% of job creation in the private sector. That's how it's supposed to work.
The tech-heavy NASDAQ has shed 11%. The Dow's fallen about 3.6%. Federal judge in New York halting efforts from the Trump administration temporarily to deport Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil.
I think that the students have a right to their free speech on campus.
ICE agents took Khalil into custody Saturday night, saying his student visa had been revoked. His lawyer says he's here legally with a green card. He has been involved in anti-Israel, pro-Hamas protests at Columbia in recent months. 3 are dead after a medical helicopter crashes in rural Mississippi. Madison County Sheriff's Office says the chopper went down in a densely wooded area near Natchez Trace. Federal jury awards 2 Chicago men exonerated of a 2003 Chicago murder $60 million each. Anthony Mitchell and John Fulton filed lawsuits claiming they were forced into giving false confessions that put them behind bars for more than 30 years. And an Illinois legislator from Rockford may be sticking his nose in a place where it doesn't belong. Democrat State Representative Maurice West has filed legislation that would force a Southern Illinois high school to change its school nickname.
It is an important piece of legislation, not just for the sake of reform, but for the sake of the mental health of our community.
The measure is aimed at Freeburg Community High School, which is in State Representative Kevin Schmidt's district, and he says, to West, butt out.
They've decided multiple times to keep the Freeburg midget mascot. I think it's a state overreach.
Freeburg and Rockford are about 300 miles apart. Schmidt says it's a local issue. He said West did not contact him about any pending legislation. Bulls blow out the Pacers, 121-103 last night. Blackhawks blanked by Colorado 3-0. Spring baseball, Cubs stomped the Guardians 7-4, while the White Sox were 10-3 winners over the A's. The news is a service of Valdecas Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service. Contact Valdecas Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor, Valdecas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees craziness in Germany.
And I want you to hear 60 Minutes.
Is it a crime to insult somebody in public?
Yes. Yes, it is.
And it's...
Yes, it is. No, yes. It's a crime to insult somebody in public in Germany. And CBS is suggesting that would be good here.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Jeff Tischlar, author of High Tech versus the Highest Tech, has shared his knowledge of the spectacular things that we see in nature, as opposed to what man has created, and how this should inform one's faith. Jeff served on the mission field all over the world and has created this highly illustrated and concisely written technical book. The easy-to-read format is understood from the youngest reader to the most intelligent and mature readers. Google and Amazon book reviews include, "This is the best little book I have ever read. It is amazing how much information is in this book." And a beautifully written and illustrated book. The author has a gift for describing complicated technical details in a very understandable style. This book is available now in paperback on Amazon. Search High Tech versus the Highest Tech by Jeff Tischlar. 100% of proceeds go to missions. That's High Tech vs. the Highest Tech by Jeff Tischlar.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba. Hey, let me tell you about our age analysis assessment. It takes just a few seconds to scan for those advanced glycated end products that cause premature aging. And then we'll briefly go over your results and give you a few things for you to do to improve. And then we'll retest you in about 60 days. And you'll pay our special low price for your first assessment, and I'll pay for your second one. That's right, your follow-up age analysis assessment is on me. And we're going to compare your biologic age with your chronologic age, and then we're going to help you determine if your biologic age is on par with your chronologic age. But you got to make that call today, not tomorrow, but today. It's our Health Quest radio hotline, 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. Second assessment free if you make that call right now, 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, Saturday mornings at 11.
Maha starts with Virago, making America healthy again. With the worst flu season in years, you need an immune system boost. The stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights and defends against So get Virago. Virago Immune Enhancement Support is a unique blend of 23 nutraceuticals, ingredients that have been available as individual nutraceuticals, but now working in synergy to maximize their effects. Recommended by medical physicians, dentists, and other healthcare professionals, Virago is the nutraceutical cocktail for immune support. Developed to strengthen your immune system for quick response to immune challenges, for short and long-term immunity, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It even protects your heart, kidneys, liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Order online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Quality ingredients for optimum health. Maha. Making America healthy again starts with Virago.
Are you concerned with AMD?
Now, protecting your eyes is easier thanks to New Nordic's Blueberry Eye Supplements. Available now at Amazon.com or NewNordicUSA.com.
540. Here in Chicago, let's get an update on the roads. A service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. You could save 90% on average to get your smile back. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, check if you qualify. AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Stevenson already stacking up slowdowns inbound between Cicero and Kedzie. I-57, you've got ongoing construction until 6 a.m., closing down the on-ramp from Volmer Road. I-80, they're clearing up an accident eastbound approaching Shepley. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy and cooler, sun and clouds, high 52. Currently 55. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Campus Beat.
Cause they got the beat, the campus beat, the campus beat. Yeah, the campus beat.
Dan and Amy wanted to start with Columbia and the arrest of one of the pro-Hamas organizers on campus. But before we get to that, Mike Scott beat us to it. This contretemps involving the Freiburg Midgets. A bill introduced, as you heard in Mike Scott's newscast, requiring Freiburg High School in southern Illinois to phase out the school's nickname of Midgets by 2028 because it is dehumanizing to the Dorf community. Bill introduced by a pinhead named Maurice West from the Rockford area, who has nothing better to do than this and maybe collaborate with Ali G on the prospect of a new state flag design. Introduced legislation to prohibit public schools from using discriminatory references to disabilities as mascots. But is it? He doesn't care. You know, he's a virtue signaling simpleton like the rest of the new Marxists in charge of this state. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line, and text line.
How did they get the name? Do you know how they got the name in the first place, the Midgets?
Well, there's the operative question, isn't it?
Right.
Does anybody... This is the fallacy of Chesterton's fence. You see a fence in a field that seems disconnected from everything, so you go knock it down. Maybe you should understand why that fence was up in the first place before you knock it down. Maybe you should understand what the purpose was before you destroy something. But that's not the perspective of the neo-Jacobins in places like the General Assembly, in places like DuPage County, the story we talked about yesterday. After removing Henry Hyde's name from the Judicial Building, now they're changing the Heritage Hall of the county building because there's too many honkies. We not really interested in who Red Grange or Billy Graham was. Many of them, I guarantee you, have no idea. Don't care, because we see something we don't like, we expunge it, and then we put up something we do like. This is the Jacobin mentality that has taken hold in Illinois and in the new Marxist Party writ large.
God, it's been in place since 1934.
The genesis of it originated, 90 years ago when a local sports writer used the nickname to describe the school's basketball team because the tallest player was 5'10" when it defeated an unbeaten team. It's of course, okay, like every other fracking a mascot, because we've only been having this debate for 2 decades, 3 decades, really, for 4 decades. This dates back to the 80s, running around, going high hat on mascots, Indians and so forth. So this mascot is not intended to be offensive. It's intended to be reverential.
And show that they're small but powerful.
Yeah. Just
Maybe.
because a couple of people that don't even live here dictating what we can call our high school, I don't think it's right.
Keyboard warriors. Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
They've ruined so many lives, I can't even begin to tell you.
So, I mean, it's just another case where, but this is always the challenge, at the local level, right? I'm watching what Trump is doing at Columbia University, but I'm not paying attention to what the General Assembly might be doing in my backyard to my local high school. When will people, especially people that live under the thumb of the new Marxists, when will you get it? Or is it just easier to cheerlead or boo something that is happening far away where there are no consequences? When you get involved locally, then you get your hands a little dirty, right? Because now you're at war politically with, neighbors and maybe even friends. And, I don't want to jeopardize my, the teacher in my kid's biology class may mark him down because they know his parent is outspoken and all of these other cop-outs. And meanwhile, the institutions that you think you're protecting are torn asunder. The education for your kids you think you're protecting has been substantially degraded. So what are you protecting? The Freeburg midget. So another opportunity, by the way, too, if you had any opposition party in this state, to be rallying around this issue, this cultural issue, statewide, whether it's happening in Freeburg or whether it's happening in DuPage County or anywhere else, because it's hardly limited to those two locales, is it? Opportunities abound, but they have to be seized if you want to change things that exist around you.
Yeah, I love what the mayor said. The small town of 5,000. Once a midget, always a midget. That's our motto around here. And I think 100% of the people agree with me on that issue.
Yeah, so that's our motto. Obviously, it has nothing to do with
dwarfism,
with height or dwarfism or people with disabilities. It's all such cheap self-righteousness. But in the absence of pushback, the barbarians win. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, how about the Freeburg mini-me's?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that friendly amendment. All right, George.
Oh, boy, are we going to start that? Well, things change. When I went to Hersey High School, we could not say the word deaf. You had to say hearing impaired. Now you cannot say hearing impaired. They're deaf. And I got yelled at Lake Michigan a few summers ago because I said, oh, yeah, I went to Hersey. Marley Matlin went there. Hearing impaired. Like, hearing impaired is like driving impaired. That's something you can control. We're deaf. Like, okay. So things change. And, sometimes it's hard to keep up with all of it.
There's no need to keep up with all of it. Because the person that scolds you over language usage like that is the person that is lying in wait to jackpot their neighbor. Person is not a person operating in good faith. That is not a good person.
He could have been nice about it.
That's a bad person.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's what people need to understand. Oh, rather than be coward, you're a jagoff is the response. You know what I meant. I'm trying to celebrate somebody that overcame their disability and became, this great actress and one of our most famous alum and all this. By the way, if you haven't seen the movie Coda, Best Picture, a couple years ago, great movie. I finally got around to seeing it this weekend. I mean, it's a sweet little movie. It's very good. And Marley Matlin is good. Troy Couture, who's also deaf, who plays her husband in the film, very good. It's a good flick. But I digress. Yeah. The point is, you're the jagoff. And jagoffs need to be told they're jagoffs. You're the person that is acting in bad faith. I'm the person acting in good faith. Don't do that. But that takes, some wherewithal.
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, I'm 5'6", and I wish I was shorter. Being short is an advantage in what I do. I don't know what you do, but...
Being short is an advantage in what I do.
But what is the do that you do? They're protecting their fake empathy. They hide
Limbo
behind
dancer?
it like a shield. What did you say? What?
Limbo dancer?
I don't know. Maybe
golf. But 5'6" isn't too tall. But, golf is like, you don't see a lot of really tall players in golf. It's a little bit easier if you're a little bit more compact, I think.
Yeah, shorter to the ground. Or is that insensitive?
It's more than just that. But also you can be diminutive and still be a great golfer. You can't always. That's not always the case in most sports. But anyway, maybe 5'6". I'm sure it would be an advantage what I do. Maybe she's like a gymnast.
Oh, possibly.
Oh, professional gymnast. David in Winnetka.
Hey guys, good morning. Thanks for having me on. So I was a Lake Forest scout, and I just
you were a Lake Forest scout. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I was a scout, and somebody, we have like these yearly reunions of this and that. I've only been to a couple.
You have yearly high school reunions?
Yeah, can you believe that? Well, it's not just for our class. It's like they'll do like a whole decade of classes, and
that's weird.
Grades. Yeah, it's weird. And I couldn't agree more. So there was a big thing that somebody was going on about changing the name and all that blah, blah, blah. I played football a couple of years and did some whatever, and you walk up the field muddy and bloody and proud to be a scout. I'm like, what's wrong with having a scout? But, let's joust for 1 second about the free speech, because this kind of ties into all that. I'm still taking the stance that, like, have you seen the other side, like, trying to rally the troops to go and kill Trump? They're trying to get somebody to go and kill him. And you're clearly saying that's what they're doing. That's what they're saying. Hey, you're going to be a hero. Just do this for us. That should not be allowed.
Well, nobody is saying, thanks for the call, David. The lines here. I mean, nobody is saying that you can threaten to kill the President of the United States. That will get you a visit from Secret Service. So, yes, there are lines when it comes to speech, and when speech becomes essentially behavior, then you potentially cross that line.
Got a text message from our 5'6" friend, Dan.
Yeah.
He is a tool and die maker.
Tool and die maker, and it would be easier if you were shorter?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, that's news to me. I don't know why. Especially like with the digital equipment these days. I don't know. I'm not sure I know why height would matter that much, but I'm not a tool and die maker, so maybe it does. Okay. I wish I was about 4 inches taller.
Yeah. Me too.
Why?
I wish I was 6'2".
Why?
I just think I would have been better in sports. I would have dominated more so than I already had, of course,
Yeah, you'd be like living with Brittany Griner right now. You guys would be in the WNBA. Be like the power couple, right?
We would be so cute together. Oh, my God. Whew.
Yeah. I think if I was, that means 6'5". It's the same reason for me as because of sports. And I think I could have played. I don't know. I think I could have gone
further.
A lot further in basketball. I don't know how far.
Well, weren't you 5'9" your freshman year at Bennett?
I was 5'2".
Oh.
5'2" my freshman year. I didn't have my growth spurt until between my junior and senior year.
Oh.
Yeah, I was tiny.
5'2", your little ankle biter, huh?
I was a Freeburg midget. Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, I think the reason with respect to that tool and die, even with the digital stuff, Dan, is on the larger machines, particularly horizontal milling machines, a lot of times getting the work into the machine, you got to climb in there to bolt stuff down and to secure and so on and so forth.
Okay,
So
that makes sense. All right.
But in addition to that, I think we got to outlaw midget racing. I don't know who I don't think it's NASCAR, but the midget racing.
The midget cars.
Well, midget tosses, remember that?
If we got a half dozen races in the state of Illinois throughout the year with that, that'll drive more business out of there.
There you go.
And what kills me, too, is This guy from Rockford, you talk about a town that's lost tons of business, particularly in the tooling industry and all that. It's like this guy's pushing it. You know, it's just astonishing.
Thanks for the call. Right, no, exactly. Rockford's a catastrophe in every way. When all speaking of manufacturing, when all the manufacturing left Rockford in the 80s, it never recovered. And now it, on a per capita basis, is one of the most violent towns in Illinois. Mm-hmm. But let's focus on the Freeburg midgets.
I know. Like we have nothing. Like they have nothing else to do. Another text message from our 5'6" friend. He says he spends the whole day ducking in and out of equipment.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right. I won't go all Randy Newman on him.
Please don't.
You don't want to do that.
No.
Jordan Antioch.
Yeah, good morning. Greg kind of stole my thunder there. We're sitting there talking about a town that I've never heard of, and from a representative looking over the dumpster fire of Rockford, 300 miles. I heard that right? He's a representative from Rockford.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Amazing. This projectionism at its finest. So,
thanks for the call, Jordan. Tom in Blue Island.
Dan and Amy, good morning. So when that segment started, I thought they were saying the town was Freebird, and I thought the problem was going to be that Leonard Skinner used to have a Confederate flag that was associated with their group.
Hey, it may be too close to Freebird. Yes. That may be the next piece of legislation. It sounds like Freebird, and thus, yeah, right.
But that being said, Dan, I think I've heard 4 or 5 like little incredulous remarks out of you in dealing with little people, and I just find you very unsympathetic to the smaller people and what they have to deal with in this world, sir.
To the height challenged?
Well, you used to be height challenged.
I was
one
height
of
challenged.
them.
I was one of them. I overcame. It's a heroic story of just a natural growth. I don't know. No, I don't dislike short people. No, that's not true. But I guess if you don't sign on to more East-West idiotic legislation, then you're not, properly an ally of the short people, even though the Freeburg mascot has nothing really to do with short people. But why have anything make sense in this state now? Why start now? Roger in DeKalb.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate some of those points about the devastation that recession of 79, 80 caused. Rockford was an absolutely beautiful working city, the screw capital of the world. All these people talking about machinists. Rockford probably employed more machinists than any place in the Midwest. And the tragedy of a Democratic-run state, after that happened, they never, ever tried to rebuild. Half of Rockford is welfare. It is just terrible. I grew up in this, I'm 63, so I was up there as a kid, and it was just a spectacularly beautiful city, just ruined areas now that are worse than Chicago. It's just unbelievably terrible. Have a good day.
Thanks for the call, Roger. And it's not going to get any better with Maurice hanging around as your representative. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
How can I find true happiness?
With a great night's sleep and instant savings.
That's it?
Through Monday at Hasselus, get instant savings of $248 off a new Queen Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, or Serta Perfect Sleeper. Save even more on a king.
Ooh, I'm feeling cheerful.
Plus free next day delivery and haul away of your old mattress.
Jovial.
And employee-free showrooms.
I've achieved maximum merriment.
Open 9 to 9. Find a self-service Chicagoland showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, I don't know.
What do you
so
think?
much to choose from. I want to sort of save it for our friend Abe Froman, but maybe we'll talk a little bit about Tucker Carlson's interview of Sam Bankman-Fried. It's kind of interesting. We'll do that or something else, but you'll have to find out at 6:06.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Oh, I've got another story for you. Just hang on.
Uh-oh.
Two men exonerated in a Chicago murder awarded $60 million each, and our governor heading to New Hampshire. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's being discussed right now in Saudi Arabia, which is hosting talks between officials from Ukraine and the U.S., led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who held similar talks with Russia last month.
What we're hoping is that both sides realize that this is not a conflict that can end by military means. It can only end by diplomatic means.
And before the talks, Ukraine went on the attack, firing hundreds of drones into Russia. Some were shot down, others did damage, at least 2 people killed in Moscow. A federal judge has ruled against Doge, saying it's likely subject to freedom of information requests, which he wrote as warrants. It based on Doge's unprecedented authority and unusual secrecy, with Elon Musk and his department working to slash federal spending. But Musk tells Fox Business they've asked their critics.
Which line do you disagree with? Like which cost saving?
Musk says Doge is in nearly every federal department. He says there are plans to double the size of the team from 100 to 200. And he says he does anticipate they could reach $1 trillion in savings, barring any obstacles to their work. There are calls, though, from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle that Congress should be the ones making the cuts. There are 2 hearings on Capitol Hill today looking at potential fraud and waste.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. Now, President Trump posted on Truth Social after midnight that Musk is doing a fantastic job and he plans to buy a new Tesla today. The day after Tesla's stock plunged 15%. Musk is the CEO and is facing protests and boycotts. Tesla was not alone, taking a big hit on Wall Street. The Dow plunged nearly 900 points. The Nasdaq down 4+% its worst day since September 2022. And in the House today, a vote on a spending bill to avert a government shutdown before a Friday deadline. Republican Ben Klein tells Fox,
this CR will keep the government running, enable President Trump to implement his agenda.
Democrats oppose the spending. In the Senate,
in this vote, the yeas are 67, the nays are 32. The nomination is confirmed.
Approving Lori Chavez-DeRemer to be Labor Secretary. America's listening to Fox News.
$50 degrees in Chicago. At 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. And good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Topping our news here. After hitting 57 degrees this early morning, temperatures are on their way down. Will drop into the 30s by the afternoon. But a warm-up is on the way with highs reaching the 70s again on Friday. New Hampshire Democrats, seeking some type of glimmer of hope for the future, are poised to get their first visit from a potential 2028 presidential contender. Jamie Pritzker will deliver the keynote address at the McIntyre Shaheen 100 Club dinner, the New Hampshire State Party's largest annual Democrat fundraiser. A person was killed after being struck by a Metra Union Pacific North Line train in Evanston on Monday night. Evanston's fire chief saying the person was pinned underneath the train at the Davis station. It's unclear what led to the incident. There's new fallout from hidden cameras caught recording people using a bathroom inside of a Highland Park middle school. A victim is speaking out because she believes nothing was done to protect her and others. Back in February, Highland Park police did arrest a juvenile for hiding a camera inside the bathrooms of the middle school and high school. An Arlington Heights man faces charges after a Chicago police officer was struck by a vehicle on the west side over the weekend. Authorities say officers were patrolling on foot Saturday night when a vehicle struck an officer. That officer is in good condition. The driver right now is Jose Ruiz Crespin, and he's been arrested on multiple charges, including aggravated attempted second-degree murder and aggravated DUI. Bulls earned their third win after blowing out the Pacers 121-103. Kobe White and Josh Giddey with 29. Blackhawks blanked by Colorado 3-0. Baseball, Cubs stomped the Guardians 7-4 in spring ball, while the White Sox were winners 10-3 over the A's. The news is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over if you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% on average. See weather on the way next on AM 560.
President Trump is moving at lightning speed.
Billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse.
Executive orders, new policies, promises kept. It's hard to keep up until now. Subscribe to the Trump Report. This email brings you daily highlights from the Oval Office right to your inbox 5 days a week.
The golden age of America begins right now.
It'll help you follow President Trump at the speed of Trump. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/Trump.
So there I was.
Where? At Penny Mustard. Okay.
And this gentleman.
What's his name? She doesn't know.
He was trying out the Finn sofa.
Who was? The guy.
He's pushing all the buttons and discovering all the different ways to recline.
How many different ways? Ben. Sorry.
Anyway, I walked over there and said, let me show you something.
What did you show him?
Let me guess. You activated the Finn's articulating headrest that cradles your neck while watching TV.
That's it. You should have seen his face.
What face?
But his mind was really blown when he learned about the Finn's pre-charged battery pack that eliminates all those pesky electrical cords.
Did it hurt?
Huh?
When he blew his mind.
He's fine.
Who's fine?
Come try the Finn sofa with hand-blown fiber seats, articulating headrest, and hundreds of fabric and leather options, starting at $53.10 at Penny Mustard.
7 locations throughout Chicagoland.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Heroes like Austin Reese have paid a high price for our freedom. Austin served 3 deployments to Iraq. He spent 13 years with the Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit and became a military freefall instructor. But in what was thought to be a routine jump, something went terribly wrong. Austin was left paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers built Austin a specially adapted smart home. Help heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of our friends at Fox Valley Coins. It's a great time to bring in your scrap gold jewelry and sterling flatware, cash or check, on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. Outbound Stevenson, you've got stop-and-go traffic this morning between LaGrange Road and the Tri-State. Already heavy there. DuSable Lakeshore Drive. You'll tap the brakes northbound right at Bryn Mawr. I-80, they're still dealing with an accident eastbound approaching Shepley Road. Your traffic is backed up to the Manuka interchange this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Breezy and a bit cooler. Clouds and sun. High today 52. Partly cloudy for tonight, low 34. Sun and high clouds tomorrow, the high 55. Sunny and mild Thursday. High Thursday at 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
50 degrees at O'Hare. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I have assiduously tried to avoid spending too much time on Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan, for that matter. These sort of cultural phenomena that occur below the fold, but are very real. I mean, just in terms of the following this guy has on social media and the money that he throws off with this following. Do people know who Andrew Tate is?
I mean, I keep seeing them pop up in the news, but part of me just doesn't want to know because it sounds nefarious. And Quinn was trying to explain it to me. He's like, well, they just think that women should be in the kitchen taking care of their men.
Well,
is that a good analogy?
No, it's much worse than that, actually. That is not. I mean, that's sort of this spin that comes from some in MAGA world about like these are just they're traditionalists. Like in a biblical sense, hardly. And they have bubbled up to the surface again because they made landfall in Florida after being under arrest in Romania. And there's multiple criminal investigations into them, and now there's one in Florida. Here was Ron DeSantis on the occasion of the Tate brothers landing in Florida, and then you'll hear from Florida's Attorney General James Uthmeier.
We have no involvement in that. I read about it through the media. Clearly, the federal government has jurisdiction, whether they want to rebuff his entry into the United States, and I have confidence that whether it's Pam Bondi or Kristi Noem, that they will be looking at that. I do know our Attorney General, James Uthmeier, is looking at what state hooks and jurisdiction we may have to be able to deal with this. But the reality is no, Florida is not a place where you're welcome with that type of conduct in the air. And I don't know how it came to this. We were not involved. We were not notified. I found out through the media that this was something that was happening.
Florida's AG.
Yeah, look, these guys have themselves publicly admitted to participating in what very much appears to be soliciting, trafficking, preying upon women around the world. Many of these victims coming forward, some of them minors, people can spin or defend however they want. But in Florida, this type of behavior is viewed as atrocious. We're not going to accept it. They chose to come here and set their feet down in this state, and we're going to pursue every tool we have within our legal authority to hold them accountable. So we are in the process today. We have secured and executed subpoenas and warrants, and we're going to continue to move forward with full force of law. This is an ongoing criminal investigation, and we're going to use every tool we have to ensure that justice is served.
You've opened a criminal investigation?
There is an active criminal investigation, yes.
Do you believe that can you give me any details of what?
I can't comment on a pending investigation, but what I can tell you is if these guys did criminal activity here in Florida, we will go after them with the full force of law and hold them accountable.
Yeah, these guys are pimps. I mean, all you have to do is look online at some of their videos, Andrew Tate in particular, in his own words. You would be aghast. So I'm just raising the issue on these guys because I know for some reason they have some support within some of the ranks of MAGA, and they shouldn't. And what they're doing is covering grotesque and illegal activities with this patina of we're traditionalists, we're men's men, we're the male has a role and the female has a role, and all this sort of paint by numbers stuff when it comes to the roles of men and women in family and society. They're frauds.
Well, isn't Andrew Tate a former kickboxer? And apparently he met with Dana White on Friday.
He didn't
And
meet
that
with
has-
them. Both he and Tristan came to some UFC fight, and they were welcomed by Dana White.
Okay.
And so what does Dana White not know? This is all very knowable if you have interest to know. And again, unfortunately, because they're sort of a cultural phenomenon and another expression of our cultural rod, it's sort of incumbent upon us to take notice of them, even though I prefer not to. I'll tell you, something Jason Whitlock said, who I like, on his podcast, after acknowledging exactly what I just said, that they're pimps, he said this about the Tate brothers. Take a listen.
In this type of war, where there's a segment of white men in white America that feel like them and their way of life is at stake and hanging in the balance, will they say to themselves, hey, I got to form an allyship with Andrew Tate, a Muslim, a pimp, an idiot, but he is someone who will tell young men the next wave of soldiers that I need in this information war. He will tell them, hey, quit apologizing for being white. Defend yourself. Defend Christian culture. Defend the accomplishments of white men. And it's unfortunate. In my view, this conversation shouldn't be about skin color. The conversation should be defend Christian culture. But I look at myself and other evangelical conservatives or people that claim to be conservative. We don't want to go anywhere near this conversation. It's too heavy, the risks are too high, and we just want to remain in our safe space and make sure that our 4,000 square foot home, the mortgage is caught up, and my wife is happy, and I've taken no risk. Those men and that mindset is going to continue to allow America and all these Western civilization cultures to get destroyed. He's going to continue to be necessary to win this information war. And so that's why I'm telling you, I hadn't realized these things. I hadn't come to these conclusions on all the previous things. And so I'm not in any way defending Andrew Tate's previous behavior. I'm not even defending his current behavior. I'm not calling him a non-criminal. I'm just explaining why there are some people that believe he is necessary, and perhaps he actually is necessary.
Yeah. So, I mean, what Whitlock starts off by saying about these peahat men who are materialists and only care about protecting their wealth and status as essentially the appeasers of the leftist mobs that will tear Western civilization asunder. That's all true. That's right. But Whitlock jumps from that to this conclusion that Andrew Tate is necessary to compel the conversations that otherwise wouldn't be compelled.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that same line.
And that's where he loses his path, Whitlock does, intellectually and spiritually. You're talking about, the need to engage or platform Andrew Tate for the purpose of reaching his audience. Well, if Tate is going to be the gateway to that audience that is being poisoned by his demagoguery, I mean, this is a cult leader is what it is. It's remarkable how much and frightening how many people do look to him for intellectual guidance or are cheering him on when he's saying some of the things that Whitlock properly characterized, but they don't understand the basis on which he's saying it. They don't understand the fraud that he's perpetrating on them. And the women, too. The women he shows in these videos. The women he shows in these videos, because he's got money, that they tattoo his name on their bodies and stuff like this. And he's turning them out.
Right. So he's right. You're right. He's a pimp.
I know he's right.
He
Jason
publicly
Whitlock
fantasizes about harming women.
He does harm women. So he doesn't need to fantasize about it. He's doing it. And Jason Whitlock has it right until he says Tate is necessary. He's not necessary. Why do we need Andrew Tate as the conduit to any population? I mean, if we're not reaching young white men, the incels, and all this stuff, then maybe our institutions are doing it wrong. But that doesn't mean that we partner up with Andrew Tate. Eric Erickson tweeted out, or posted on X in response to Whitlock, Christians do not need to side with the devil ever. We're surrounded by God, working tirelessly through the Holy Spirit with an army of angels. We do not need a Muslim pornographer who beats women. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, perfectly said.
Corey and Woodlawn, you're in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. Good morning, Amy. How do we pull ourselves back from the abyss? I mean, Polybus, he notates that this happens to large countries like ours. And it was so refreshing to have a language that unites us. And the things that united us in the past, I think those things are being destroyed in front of our faces. So how do we pull ourselves out of the mouth of the lion?
Yeah, well, that's the big question. I mean, and it's an inch at a time. But certainly we don't confuse our friends with our enemies. We don't confuse actual allies in the cultural battle with enemies inside the perimeter.
And it's not
when you start confusing those two groups, then you're really in a bad way, and things will continue to go badly.
And it's not as if Trump is supporting the Tate brothers. I mean, you're going to have Pam Bondi investigate them, the Attorney General of Florida as well. I mean, if they continue like pimping out and being, sex trafficking and all that, they're gonna have to pay for it.
Yeah, well, hopefully, but the larger point is the cultural one. And I saw some chatter online like, DeSantis, saying what he said about the Tate brothers, and it's another some MAGA types or people feigning to be MAGA types, could be a false flag, I don't know, saying, this is Ron DeSantis is getting on the wrong side of MAGA again, and then they said it in relation to the governor's race in Florida, Byron Donalds and possibly Ron DeSantis' wife Casey. Except Byron Donalds came out and supported Uthmeyer's state investigation into the Tate brothers, because Byron Donalds is a sensible guy who can also follow the evidence and understand what's being said and the scam that's being run by these Tate brothers, not to mention just their boorish and brutal and grotesque and potentially illegal conduct. This is crazy. It's just like, it's one thing when you have people that are sort of intellectually lost and they become cause celebs because of, I don't know, star power, or they're speaking some sort of truth through some other non-political avenue, whether it be sort of fitness or strength or fighting or whatever, acting. That's one thing. But when we're some segment of our community, of our society, and particularly here with these two knuckleheads, young white men, find these two pimps fascinating, pretty discouraging. Robert in Bloomingdale.
The reason everybody's going after him is they criticized Israel, just like Tucker Carlson started criticizing Israel.
No, that's not the reason they're going after. That's not the reason they're going after the Tate brothers. That's absurd. That's absurd. It's absurd. Is that right? Did I say anything about Israel and my going after the Tate brothers? Did Jason Whitlock?
No.
People have a lot of different angles for a lot of different reasons. I'm not interested in that. Let's stay center cut here. The main thing is the main thing. Let's make it that. The main thing is what the Tate brothers do and what they're doing, which should be obvious to anyone who's passing attention. And if you haven't been, do just even a surface skim and come back to me and tell me if you don't draw the same conclusions.
Text messages on this. I don't know if you're going to like them, Dan.
Don't care.
From 224, he gets the conversation out there so more people may pay attention to the rebuttal of good people. Also, Dan, can Andrew Tate still be useful to the conservative movement?
No. Okay, could I be any more explicit about that? Could I be any more vociferous? No. Why in God's name, literally in God's name, would conservatives say we should partner with, what did Erickson properly call him? A Muslim pornographer who beats women. And that's not the fact that he's Muslim. It's the fact that he's a pimp. Go watch Andrew Tate videos. His videos. Not anybody else commenting on him.
All right, I'm going to watch
Go watch his stuff. Pay attention to what he says. Maybe get those critical thought wheels spinning and figure out what he's doing here as a massive money-making enterprise, I'm sorry to say, and tell me what value he has. We sell our souls to gain something here? That's lunacy. Lunacy, whoever is supporting Andrew Tate and thinks they're a conservative. You're very confused. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
MyPillow is excited to announce that they're having the first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard MyPillow, just $14.98. To take advantage of the first ever mega sale, go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship has sailed because right now every order ships absolutely free. MyPillow.com, promo code LIBERTY.
All right, all across the country, states are embracing school choice and offering vouchers to families to send students to whichever school they want, including private schools. Unfortunately, lawmakers in Illinois have resisted this trend despite all the benefits of private education. Well, we have a solution. If you want to send your child to a private school, it is called ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. It's simple. Just visit ChicagolandVouchers.com and tell us which private school you want to send your child to. Then we contact the school on your behalf and work to secure a voucher for half off the first year of tuition. Typically, this saves thousands of dollars for families. Now, the program only applies to new students who are not currently enrolled in the school. So if you've been considering sending your child to a private school and thought that it was financially out of reach, go to ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com to learn more and start the process today. That's ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Car Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second-generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old-school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest-growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Car Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com.
It's time to throw your overpriced big wireless contract overboard. With a qualifying plan, you can choose an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Galaxy for $0. Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. No hassle, no gimmicks, just honest-to-goodness wireless price right. Dial pound 250, you say the keywords Pure Talk, claim your new iPhone or Galaxy with a qualifying purchase from Pure Talk, which is America's wireless company. Visit puretalk.com for details.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
AM 560, The Answer.
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, I agree with you. We shouldn't partner with him or the likes of him. We need to point out how wrong his thinking and actions are.
Yeah, he's not a man. He's not a masculine man. He's a punk. He's a punk, and he's
community,
and he's a thug. You want your sons to grow up to be thugs? Go watch Andrew Tate.
Okay.
And you tell me that you want your son to grow up in the mold of Andrew Tate. I challenge anyone.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we'll turn to matters of war and peace with our friend Steve Bucci. That's 6:36.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
The opening bell rings this morning after a rough day on Wall Street Monday. Pre-market data pointing to a higher open after the day. After all, three major indexes finished deeply into the red. Ukraine appears to have carried out its largest drone attack to date against Russia. Over 90 drones targeted Moscow. Speaking with reporters on Sunday, President Trump previewed peace talks in Saudi Arabia, hoping all goes well beginning today.
Let's see what happens with the whole Russia-Ukraine thing. I think you're going to have eventually, and maybe not in the distant future, you're going to have some pretty good results coming out of Saudi Arabia this week.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries expects Democrats to all vote against a spending bill proposed by Republicans.
House Democrats will not be complicit in the Republican effort to hurt the American people.
Without a new spending bill, the federal government could shut down partially on Friday. Pope Francis is showing some good progress as he receives treatment for severe respiratory issues. Doctors have lifted their guarded prognosis of the 88-year-old. New Hampshire Democrats seeking a glimmer of hope for the future are poised to get their first visit from a potential 2028 presidential contender. J.B. Pritzker will deliver the keynote address at the McIntyre Shaheen 100 Club dinner, the state Democrat Party's largest fundraiser. Illinois lawmakers this week will begin exploring a bill that will establish guidelines for what time high schools begin their instruction day. House Bill 2951 is introduced by Grays Lake-based State Rep. Laura Favor Diaz. It would prohibit public high schools in the state of Illinois from starting their day prior to 8:45. The bill will go before the Education Policy Committee on Wednesday, according to the Illinois General Assembly's website. The American Psychological Association has also argued in favor of some later start times, correlating with some improvement in mood, attendance, and grades. Bulls earned their third win in a row after blowing out the Pacers, 121-103 at the UC. Blackhawks blanked by Colorado 3-0. Bears shoring up the trenches in day one of official free agency. ESPN reporting that defensive lineman Dayo Odangbo and Grady Jarrett both agreed to deals with the team. The Bears agree to a 3-year deal with center Drew Dolman as well yesterday. And the Jets have signed former Bear QB Justin Fields. 2 years, $40 million. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes, ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
President Trump is moving at lightning speed.
And after that, all hell is going to break out.
Executive orders, new policies, promises kept. It's hard to keep up until now. Subscribe to the Trump Report. This email brings you daily highlights from the Oval Office right to your inbox 5 days a week.
I will put America first.
It'll help you follow President Trump at the speed of Trump. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/Trump.
Maha starts with Virago, making America healthy again. With the worst flu season in years, you need an immune system boost. The stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights and defends against and. So get Virago. Virago Immune Enhancement Support is a unique blend of 23 nutraceuticals, ingredients that have been available as individual nutraceuticals, but now working in synergy to maximize their effects. Recommended by medical physicians, dentists, and other healthcare professionals, Virago is the nutraceutical cocktail for immune support. Developed to strengthen your immune system for quick response to immune challenges, for short and long-term immunity, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It even protects your heart, kidneys, liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Order online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Quality ingredients for optimum health. Maha. Making America healthy again starts with Virago.
Hey, it's Amy Jacobson here, and I'm finally making my dream garage a reality with Level 10 Coatings. They're coming this March to coat my garage floor and give it that shiny new showroom floor look. I couldn't be more excited. Level 10 Coatings specializes in expert garage floor coatings for both residential and commercial spaces. Their floors are durable, easy to maintain, and best of all, done in just one day. If you're thinking about upgrading your garage floor with that shiny new showroom look, get it done this spring. Call my friends at Level 10 Coatings at 855-510-2628 or book your free consultation online at level10coatings.com. And here's a bonus. Mention me, Amy Jacobson, and you'll get $500 off your project. So do not wait. Call 855-510-2628 or visit level10coatings.com today. level10coatings.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
6:39 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. In this update, a service of Bank of America. What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? Whether you're a local shop or a global enterprise, Bank of America gives you access to a range of business solutions. Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking4business. The Eisenhower stop and go already this morning due to an accident between Wolf and Harlem Avenue. Stevenson right now, accident inbound right at the Dan Ryan merge. I-80 bottled up with an accident between the Manuka Interchange and Shepley Road. Lombard, Harrison, east and westbound between Maine and Charlotte shut down due to the Lombard Fire Department battling a blaze this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Breezy and cooler with times of clouds and sun. A high only of 52, and that is already past us as temperatures tumble throughout the day. Down to a low of 34 overnight. Tomorrow, sun and clouds back up to 55. It's 49 right now at O'Hare, 49 at Midway, 36 in Aurora. And your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, flashing back to 2016 presidential debate between candidate Trump and candidate Clinton, the former Secretary of State with the wealth of foreign policy experience. This was Trump on essentially Obama's red line that, of course, he did not man. But the larger prospect of attempting to depose Assad in Syria. This is 2016 now.
Now, she talks tough. She talks really tough against Putin and against Assad. She talks in favor of the rebels. She doesn't even know who the rebels are. You know, every time we take rebels, whether it's in Iraq or anywhere else, we're arming people. And you know what happens? They end up being worse than the people. Look at what she did in Libya with Gaddafi. Gaddafi's out. It's a mess. And by the way, ISIS has a good chunk of their oil. I'm sure you probably have heard that. It was a...
And fast forward to Tulsi Gabbard's confirmation hearing last month to be DNI on this issue of her visit to Syria and the criticism that was lodged against her for being a tool of Assad, which is a tool of Putin. She's a Russian asset. That very same Hillary Clinton accused Tulsi Gabbard of being a Russian asset. And of course, Trump is also deferential to Assad because he is Putin's man in D.C. This is the big conspiracy that has been spun for the better part of the last decade. Tulsi Gabbard, in an exchange with Senator Mark Kelly, who is easily prone to PTSD, we found out. He suffered PTSD from the Trump-Zelensky contretemps at the Oval Office. Anyway, Kelly pressed Gabbard on Assad, and this is what she said.
I shed no tears for the fall of the Assad regime, but today we have an Islamist extremist who is now in charge of Syria, as I said, who danced on the streets to celebrate the 9/11 attack, who ruled over Idlib with an Islamist extremist governance, and who has already begun to persecute and kill and arrest religious minorities like Christians in Syria.
I understand.
Why that should be acceptable to anyone is beyond me.
It is
certainly
and
not
I understand,
in our
but
interests.
I appreciate.
And right, what do we have now? Well, what we've had this week is Al Jilani and his goons starting to massacre those religious minorities, and the position of these Islamists is the total annihilation of even Muslims that don't share their particular variety of Islam. For more on this and other geopolitical matters, Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Now visiting following the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me back on the show.
I mean, it's a lesson that at least Trump and to some extent Gabbard understood from history, which is, be careful who you want to take out because you don't always know if what follows them will be better. Hillary Clinton didn't learn that after taking out Gaddafi in Libya. We haven't, and of course now we see what has happened with Assad's abdication in Syria. I mean, it's just a story that repeats itself over and over again.
It does. Regime change always, as we like to joke in the military, it briefs well. It sounds good
well. Yeah.
at the table months ahead of time, but the people who are doing those briefings don't always look for those second and third order effects, or even the primary effects. If you would at least open your eyes. We didn't do this well, and we don't do it well very often. And in this case, it's getting worse and worse. This guy was celebrated. They said, "Oh, it's wonderful. He's gotten rid of Assad. It's a new dawn in Syria." And this guy is a complete radical Islamist, which he's not denying. He's not trying to hide, other than taking some pictures in a suit. Which made him look like Borat, kind of.
Yeah.
But that's really glib, and I shouldn't do it because he's not a comical character. He's a horrific guy, and his folks have started the purges of minorities. And as you say, that includes everybody that disagrees with him, even other Muslims.
Like, they want. I mean, they've made explicit calls for the extermination of Shia Muslims.
Yeah, and that makes sense because the Alawites, which was Assad's people, is an offshoot of Shia Islam, and that's why they got along with the Iranians so well. And this guy is a radical Salafist. He's a radical Sunni, and he is bringing down the hammer. The shoe's on the other foot for all the horrific things that Assad did. And now lots of people are paying the price while Assad sits someplace and, counts his money.
Well, what about the Christians? I mean, some are, according to news reports, some are being dragged out of their homes. Some others are being slaughtered inside their homes. Who's going to stop this? Is it just going to have to be Americans, or can somebody else help out?
Lots of people could join in and help out if they want to. I'm not sure we're even going to go in and try and stop it. Generally, we've seen when these things go on inside countries, everybody sits and wrings their hands and says, it's terrible, but nobody's willing to go in and do it to stop them. The closest we came was when ISIS was slaughtering the, I can't even remember their name, the group there in western Syria, and we sent in, a couple of special forces teams to work with them, but mostly the Kurds came in and helped. But this is not a good situation, and I don't have a really good feeling in my stomach that anybody's going to do anything about it other than, talk on TV.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? We are compelled by world events to sort of bounce back between Shia and Sunni theocracies and then all of these splinter Islamist terrorist groups. And there just is no stability there. And so then to some extent you outside of maybe Jordan, but you're always going to be dealing with, to borrow a phrase from Trump, bad hombres. I mean, so you deal with an MBS, or you deal with an Assad, or you deal with a Saddam Hussein back in the day, because you have to. that this is what the region presents, and so these are the difficult decisions and alliances of convenience that we have to make. But we just have to understand they're alliances of convenience, and we need to get over our hubris of thinking we're going to turn these countries into, constitutional republics at some point.
Yeah, that is kind of a pipe dream, and has been for a long time. I'm not saying there aren't people in these countries that, if we could get them in power, that might make a good run at trying to do that. But frankly, they're not the ones with the guns. They're not the charismatic leaders. And their religious background, which animates so much of their political ideology, doesn't call for that. In fact, they think that's a heretical idea to let everyone, have choices and do what they feel is right. It's just anathema to them. So why we think if their religion is the dominant ideology in the culture, why do we think we're going to turn them into, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson? We're just not going to do it.
Right. Speaking of George Washington, the George Washington of Eastern Europe that the press corps has tried to turn Zelensky into, meetings today in Saudi Arabia. And you've got this guy on the officially state-sanctioned channel in Syria who's a prominent news person on their one channel that has been authorized by the government, which also speaks to the characterization of Zelensky as something other than a small d Democrat, but I digress. This high profile news person who has been given awards by Zelensky is openly calling for the assassination of President Trump. I mean, that's probably below the fold of the interests of trying to get a deal to stop the war in Eastern Europe between Russia and Ukraine. But I mean, it certainly doesn't help, and it doesn't speak well of the Zelensky regime to have those antics going on right underneath these talks.
No, that's just unseemly. It adds to the confusion. It adds to the animus between the various sides. Frankly, if we were smart and Zelensky was smart, if he really wanted to get a deal, he'd shut his mouth. Our side would shut their mouths. They'd go behind closed doors, and they'd come up with some kind of plan that makes some modicum of sense. But they just can't help themselves. They're into performance art, and the press plays into it. The press demands it, and we get what we pay for, and it's generally really crappy diplomacy and policy.
Well, who's winning this war, Ukraine or Russia?
Right now, if you had to dispassionately give a grade, I'd say Russia is probably winning. The Ukrainians made their best shot with the incursion into Russia, trying to push them back. Now, with their supply lines under some stress because of America stopping its help, they're at a distinct disadvantage. Now, that doesn't mean Russia is, all flowers and roses. They're under great stress as well. It's just that they have a much heavier hand with which to force their population to comply, and they can lie better to their population because of the control they have of the media. So overall, whether it's, good for the world or not, I'd say Russia's winning, and that's, in my opinion, is not good for the world. That it's a bad thing, but is it worth continuing to feed lives into that, even lives that aren't ours? I'd say no.
One more group of Islamists that Trump has not dealt with yet. I'm a bit surprised. The Houthis. There's a report out that the Houthis, so these are Yemenis, nationalists of sorts, terrorist group, have added about 25% more time to get goods from Asia to Europe and America. The damage they're doing to global shipping, the economic damage. And it's not like, I guess outside of Iran, they have great sponsorship. So would it be proper for Trump to go after the Houthis at this point to aid and abet global shipping, or is this a chip that he's using in the larger play with respect to Iran and its nuclear program?
I don't think he's trying to use that chip. He does not want any additional engagements. But I'm with you. I think the Houthis need to be dealt with. Perhaps we could just enable the Israelis to do it, or the Houthis keep threatening Israel, so that may be a fait accompli. Israel's just going to take them out because of what they're actually doing towards Israel. But you're right. We need to protect shipping. This is not a good time to put more pressure on the global supply chain because these morons in Yemen think they should be able to stop the world from going through those waters. It's a bad situation. We may have to get involved directly, or we may not. We'll have to wait and see. But it should be an option that's presented to President Trump as a possibility because it's going to cost us a boatload of money, not trying to make a pun, to free up that shipping to get things where they need to be.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you as always.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, and I'll talk to you again next Monday.
Yep, thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
You heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Hi, this is Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. We make the amazing Solaire infrared gas grills that are built to last and will consistently deliver better than restaurant grilled food. The Solaire infrared burner heats up to 1,000 degrees in just 3 minutes, even in the dead of winter. The high heat locks in the juices and flavor and grills food faster. Learn more about these fantastic USA-made grills at BestHotGrill.com. Solaire hot, fast grills at BestHotGrill.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
That sound means it's time for In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world. It's just the history that you don't know, and Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. In 1769, Marie Antoinette Habsburg, aged 13, became engaged to the Dauphin, Louis XVI Bourbon, and as such, left Vienna for Versailles. When her party reached the border, there was a tent ready to process her entry into the country she would one day help rule. Once inside, it was made clear that she now belonged to France, as she was required to completely change her clothes and discard everything from her Austrian past, including her pet dog. This must have been harrowing for her. But she was the daughter of the Empress Maria Theresa, who as a young woman held off a surprise attack by Frederick the Great of Prussia in 1740. England provided mostly financial aid during this 8-year war of the Austrian succession. But towards the end, they abandoned their ally and required them to give up the iron-rich territory of Silesia so that the conflict could end. Maria really resented this, and it contributed to what was known as a diplomatic revolution, when there was an abrupt switch of alliances before the 7 Years' War, when England now became allied with Prussia, and Austria became an ally of France, thus leading to the betrothal of Marie Antoinette. Sometimes a country's interests change and old shibboleths need to be buried. One such question for today, is NATO still relevant for the United States? Our ersatz allies imposed tyranny on their own people through censorship, green fascism, and non-enforcement of laws. So why should we continue to carry the defense burden for autocratic ingrates who disdain their own ancestors, as well as the hundreds of thousands of Americans who died for their freedoms? Towards the end of the film Gran Torino, Clint Eastwood's character Walt realizes he now has more in common with his immigrant neighbors than he does with his own self-absorbed absentee family. The USA might now be at the same point in regards to the Russian people versus Western Europe.
Oh, very good, Frank. I like the Gran Torino usage there. Very nice to bring it forward from the 18th century to something current that people can understand. Very nice. Nicely done. So is that a rhetorical question, or is that your position that we should withdraw? I mean, is that an actual question, or is it a rhetorical one being it's your position we should withdraw from NATO?
Yeah, I'm beginning to think that NATO really isn't relevant for us anymore. I mean, how old is it? 80 years or so? 75, 80 years. I mean, it had its point in the beginning, in 1949. but I don't think so anymore. We've just kept expanding it, and we basically told the Soviets, we told Gorbachev we wouldn't. We're the ones who lied. Maybe that was necessary, but I don't know. And also, one other thing, is there anything special about a relationship with Britain that's led by a Marxist, Keir Starmer?
Well, right. You can say that about most of Western Europe. Although, it changes. It goes back and forth. So
sure.
There's always the possibility that a Margaret Thatcher will emerge. But I hear you. I hear you. Frank from Arlington Heights, In-Depth History. Thank you as always, Frank. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, Abe Froman. We're talking crypto and crypto reserve, 7:07.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
2 men exonerated in a Chicago murder awarded $60 million each. Governor Pritzker to New Hampshire. Metra investigating a rider struck, this time in Evanston. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
What is Ukraine willing to do? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The only solution to this war is diplomacy.
And that diplomacy to stop the war with Russia is going on now in Saudi Arabia, where Secretary of State Marco Rubio is leading U.S. talks with Ukrainian officials, just like he did last month with Russians.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says his country will propose a truce in the sea and the sky, including an end to missile and drone attacks. Russia has so far rejected any talks of a ceasefire. And while the Trump administration has made clear they expect Ukraine to make concessions to end the war, it's not known what they'll ask Russia to give up in return.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Before the talk started, Ukraine bombarded Russia with hundreds of drones. Many were shot down, but some did damage in Moscow. At least 3 people were killed. President Trump will meet with more business leaders the day after another huge sell-off on Wall Street.
There is uncertainty not only in the markets, but on Capitol Hill, too, where lawmakers are hoping to avoid a government shutdown this week. House Speaker Mike Johnson is hoping Republicans can muscle the GOP short-term spending bill on their own. They are expected to vote on the bill later this afternoon, but there are some GOP members who are on the fence about voting yes.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. If 2 Republicans join Democrats voting no, the spending bill would not pass. As Democrats fight DOGE in court, a federal judge has ruled the department is likely open to freedom of information requests, adding DOGE has unprecedented authority and unusual secrecy. But Elon Musk, who's leading DOGE's attempt to slash federal spending, tells Fox Business they are being transparent, trying to keep the U.S. from going bankrupt.
Save money for the American taxpayer, stop money being spent on things that I think very few taxpayers would agree make sense.
Another federal judge has temporarily blocked a pending hearing tomorrow the Trump administration from deporting a legal resident with a green card. Mahmoud Khalil was a Columbia grad student last year when he led pro-Palestinian protests on the New York campus. He's accused of being a sympathizer with Hamas, a terrorist organization. America's listening to Fox News.
7:02, 48 degrees in Chicago. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. New Hampshire Democrats, seeking a glimmer of hope for the future, are poised to get their first visit from a potential 2028 presidential contender. J.B. Pritzker will deliver the keynote address at the state's largest Democrat annual fundraiser. A person killed after being struck by a Metra Union Pacific North Line train in Evanston Monday night near the Davis Street station. It's unclear right now what led up to that incident. Federal jury is awarding 2 men who were exonerated of a 2003 Chicago murder $60 million each. Anthony Mitchell and John Fulton filed suit claiming they were forced into giving false confessions that put them behind bars for more than 15 years. Illinois lawmakers are pushing end-of-life bills for the second year in a row, but a group opposed to that legislation said people who are disabled would be harmed by Senate Bill 9 and House Bill 1328. Disability policy professional Jules Good said there's been a push by a few doctors in the state to try and reclassify a treatable condition like anorexia as terminal.
When I was at my lowest, if a doctor had told me I could just end it all, I absolutely would have.
Good saying too many people are struggling with eating disorders and are denied care in a profit-driven healthcare system.
If an insurer can choose between covering years of complex health care or a lethal prescription, no amount of safeguards in this bill could ever prevent a situation where someone will be pressured to die because they've been denied care.
State Senator Linda Holmes filed Senate Bill 9. Representative Robin Gable filed the matching House bill. Bulls earned their third win in a row after blowing out the Pacers 121-103 at the United Center, while the Blackhawks lost 3-0 in Colorado. Hawks have dropped 3 of 4 and visit San Jose on Thursday. Big Ten hoops tournament action this week. Northwestern takes on Minnesota tomorrow, while the Fighting Illini go up against either Ohio State or Iowa Thursday night. Baseball, Cubs stomp the Cleveland Club 7-4 in spring training, while the White Sox pound out 12 hits in a 10-3 win over the A's. 7:04, and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
President Trump is moving at lightning speed.
Billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse.
Executive orders, new policies, promises kept. It's hard to keep up until now. Subscribe to the Trump Report. This email brings you daily highlights from the Oval Office right to your inbox 5 days a week.
The golden age of America begins right now.
It'll help you follow President Trump at the speed of Trump. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/Trump.
Viro is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-founders of Viro, the immune enhancement cocktail. Viro contains 23 natural ingredients that work synergistically to boost your immune system. Viro's natural ingredients also protect your heart, your brain, and your liver through its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Viro also promotes healthy gum health. So go to myviro.com, that's MYVIROGO.com, and use promo code IMMUNE to get 30% off. And remember, Maha starts with Viro.
Boost your immune system with Viro. Order your bottle today. Visit myviro.com. That's myviro.com.
And use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%.
That's myviro.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Viro and Maha, making America healthy again.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Heroes like Austin Reese have paid a high price for our freedom. Austin served 3 deployments to Iraq. He spent 13 years with the Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit and became a military freefall instructor. But in what was thought to be a routine jump, something went terribly wrong. Austin was left paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers built Austin a specially adapted smart home. Help heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best 2 hours of Dennis's favorite segments from as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the Happiness Hour.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what I'm about.
Tuesday is Celebrity Guest Day.
Donald Trump Jr. is in studio with me.
On Wednesday, it's the Male-Female Hour.
I really do wish there were a way to ascertain the number of marriages that this hour has helped.
Thursday, the Ultimate Issues Hour.
Not having ultimate issues clarity is like having a map, but you don't know where you're going.
And Friday is Open Lines.
Feel free to ask me anything about me, about you, about life.
So if you're missing your daily dose of Dennis, go to Pragertopia.com and hear all your favorite segments, along with lectures, celebrity interviews, his famous Torah teachings, and more. Get your daily dose of Dennis at Pragertopia.com. Pragertopia.com.
7:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Let's start on the inbound side of the Eisenhower. You're delayed all the way in from 390 to the old post office. Right now it is 95 minutes on your inbound commute. A lot of that due to an accident inbound on 290 between Mannheim and Harlem Avenue. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, jam solid northbound between Soldier Field and Jackson. The Veterans Memorial Toll Road, I-355 northbound side. You have a reported accident now at Army Trail Road, and delays in Warrenville this morning, Winfield and Deal Road, with an accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Times of clouds and sun, breezy, cool day. High today 52, partly cloudy tonight, low 34. Sun and clouds for tomorrow, the high 55. And then Thursday, sunny, mild day, the high at 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
48 at O'Hare, 49 Midway, 36 Aurora, 41 Joliet. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Tucker Carlson secured an interview with former crypto billionaire, FTX founder, SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, who is in, I think, year 3 of a 25-year prison term. He's at the MCC in Brooklyn. We found out during the interview that P. Diddy is treating him very nicely, so that's nice. That's good. He and P. Diddy are hanging.
Yeah, I don't think they're cellmates, but yes, they're both there.
Yeah. And on a more relevant note, given the crypto reserve that President Trump is standing up, here was Sam Bankman-Fried's perspective on the future of crypto, near term. You know, take it for what it's worth, but I mean, he is knowledgeable about the sector, regardless of what he has been convicted of doing at FTX.
You know, you look at what the Trump administration said, you know, going into office, there are a lot of good things. There are a lot of things that, you know, were very different from the stance that the Biden administration took, that you know, Gensler and the SEC took. Obviously, the follow-through is what matters. And that's the stage that we're at now, which is what will come of this. And I mean, not surprisingly, like, changing the guard helps, but financial regulators, they're big, giant bureaucracies in the federal government. They're not used to changing overnight. And they have been playing a really obstructive role for, you know, a decade in crypto. You know, the U.S., it's 30% of the world's finance. It's about 5% of the world's crypto. And the reason it's entirely regulatory, it's just the U.S. was unique in its difficulty to work with. So I think the big question is, when rubber meets the road, like, will the administration do what needs to be done and figure out how to do it? Right now, crypto is not quite at a point where it could become an everyday tool of, you know, a quarter of the world or something. The tech isn't there yet, but it's not that far away. And if the industry keeps making progress rather than getting distracted too much by market prices, then, you know, 5-10 years from now, you could imagine a world where all of a sudden it is the case that anyone can have a crypto wallet, you know, a billion people could use it each day, with privacy, with security, fast, cheap, international, all the things that, you know, that was promised and that absolutely are distracted from by the latest meme coins.
For more on the tech and the future of crypto and money in general, commercial transactions, pleased to be joined again by Abe Froman. He's not just the Sausage King of Chicago, he's also the Director of Operations at Digital Asset Redemption. Abe, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I didn't know that I was going to get an SBF lead in here.
Yeah. Well, You know,
That's how we roll.
You never know what we're going to do to our guests. But anyway, but what about SPF? What about his sort of handle on where crypto is and where it could be in 5 or 10 years if I guess if the regulatory environment allows such development?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know me, I'm a Bitcoin maximalist myself. I don't ever want to use the word Bitcoin and crypto in the same paragraph or the same article, because I think that just exposes the human frailty that exists within the industry, and Sam Bankman-Fried is a great example of it. The fact that his mother isn't sharing a jail cell with him is astonishing to me. Because she was kind of the mastermind behind it. So yeah, I was kind of surprised that Tucker gave him that that sounding board, because that's all it is when you get humans involved in trying to run systems, they will eventually corrupt the systems that they create, and that's what you can't do with Bitcoin. And I was actually very nervous, and I know I was talking to Quinn, your producer, last week about talking to you on Thursday, and I'm like, let's just have Friday happen and have the weekend get behind us, because I was concerned that Trump was going to do something Trumpian and just invite everybody to the party. And what he basically ended up doing was super, super simple and easy and not weird, which kind of surprised me.
Well,
I mean, a little nervous about Eric Trump surrounding himself with some ne'er-do-wells in the industry, and then Trump just comes out and says, "Hey, we're just going to move our Bitcoin that we currently have. We're going to move it into a reserve, and we may end up buying more in the future." But really, I mean, if you look at Bitcoin as being digital real estate, it's no different than what we've done, from buying Manhattan and buying the Louisiana Purchase, or buying everything west of the Rockies from Mexico, or buying Alaska from Russia. I mean, this is just an opportunity for the United States to make a digital land purchase. I think is a great analogy.
So so you weren't hoping that he would be more aggressive than just limiting this reserve to the Bitcoin that the federal government has, and what the federal government may seize in civil asset forfeiture proceedings, and auditing its stash at this point, and just holding it in reserve like it does gold or dollars. You think that is the right step to make with respect to Bitcoin and or crypto?
Yes, and because, again, everything else that isn't Bitcoin is controlled by a small group of humans, and they're all corruptible. Even if their intentions are good, they're temporary. 50 years from now, they'll all be dead, and somebody else will be in control of the keyboard. So with Bitcoin, you don't have to worry about that, and that's the cleanest way to get something kicked off. And it makes sense. I mean, hopefully, I've been hoping for this for a long time, is that banks are going to start collateralizing Bitcoin much like you would your home equity, in order to be able to gain access to the equity of your Bitcoin without having to sell it and creating a taxable event. That's where the puck is going.
So that's what you're thinking about in the near term, as opposed to what you heard again from Sam Bankman-Fried, and we've heard from others, and this has been discussed since the outset, the idea of commercial transactions in Bitcoin, and the tech isn't there, but 5 to 10 years from now, if the regulatory environment provides for it, you could have 1 billion people transacting and doing commercial transactions in Bitcoin. Is that something that is realistic, do you think, and is it even desirable?
My thought is that government money is not going to go away in our lifetimes, and probably our children's lifetimes. So there's always going to be a function there to be able to make stuff happen. But the underpinning of the value on how that stuff transfers is going to be sitting on the Bitcoin network. Everything that people complain about, in terms of the speed or the efficiency of their expense, that's already been solved with the Lightning Network that sits on top of Bitcoin. So you can move hundreds of millions of dollars for pennies when you're timing it correctly. And the people who are in the know understand how to move value on the Bitcoin blockchain for pennies versus the scary numbers that you hear from others.
Well, how many government? Oh, sorry. Go on. Well, I was just curious how many governments are developing their own digital currencies.
You know what? It doesn't matter. And I kind of remember, Dan, the conversation we had a number of years ago when Zuckerberg was coming out with Libra coin for Facebook.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
And I was excited for that to happen because I knew it would be a disaster. And I wanted it to be a disaster because I wanted the disaster to be an education to everybody else around the fact that when you have humans and companies trying to control units of value, you're going to run into some massive issues. The Chinese could just block Facebook, and they could confiscate all of your Facebook coin or Libra coin, I think they were calling it at the time. So that's where whenever you have a group of humans that are talking about creating something, that eventually it's going to fail.
Well, so
we see that.
Well, but so then, what's your vision for where the crypto sector goes? I mean, you heard Sam Bankman-Fried reference Gary Gensler. He's not the only one, and crypto's not the only industry. But talk just about the heavy hand of the SEC in terms of trying to launch crypto businesses. Is this going to be? Is the whole industry going to be Bitcoin or bust, or how do you see the industry itself developing?
I see the industry developing on top of Bitcoin. So you can program on top of it. It's cumbersome and it's clunky, and people can make fun of it all they want. There was a kernel of truth, though, that Sam Bankman-Fried mentioned, that the United States was absolutely inhospitable to Bitcoin in the early days because it's just human nature. You just see it as a threat to, the U.S. dollar. I think people have gotten over that. At least the Trump people have, and that's where kind of I could see that ending up. But there's absolutely no reason. I've spent 10 years trying to figure out what the utility of something other than Bitcoin is, and I still can't figure it out because nothing makes sense. And Sam Bankman-Fried is a perfect example of that, trying to monetize FTX down in the Bahamas. But so as long as the United States is probably going to look at it as being, hey, we need to be kind of the front runners on this, and as we typically are with most technology, and I see that happening here too.
And what's your message to those who are just sort of speculative investors and buy Bitcoin or have a couple points in terms of their overall portfolio in Bitcoin, and don't really understand the underlying technology, the platform that you were talking about, don't really care that much, just see this as I said, a speculative investment? What's your message to them?
Well, I've always taken a look at the fact that, I live my life in dollars. I earn dollars. I pay my mortgage in dollars. I just look at it as like two rails on a railroad track so that you can jump back and forth whenever you please. But Bitcoin as being collateral and digital real estate is something that is the most compelling use case that I believe that exists. So, whether it's a tenth of a Bitcoin or a half of Bitcoin or a full Bitcoin, whatever it may be, you will be able to use that for utility in the future when it comes to, future generations. So I look at Bitcoin as being generational wealth, and that's kind of the beginning and end of it. And, whatever your investment, threshold is, there's a saying that we kind of have in the Bitcoin world is that short-term investment in Bitcoin is 4 years, a medium-term investment is 10 years, and the right investment is forever. So if you're willing to lock something away in your 401k for, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, why wouldn't you also be willing to lock something away in Bitcoin for the same timeline?
And do you think David Sachs, Trump's cryptocurrency guy, and the Trump administration have that same perspective on Bitcoin and its development?
It seems to be, and that's where it was. I was kind of encouraged when he was kind of putting his team together and sending smoke signals as what last week was going to look like. So Howard Lutnick, they seem to have the right perspective. At least that's what they're saying so publicly. I mean, they're also both heavily invested personally, so you could look at it with a wink of cynicism and be like, oh, well, of course they're going to support something that they're part of. However, those guys are already billionaires. Like, they don't need any more billions. And so, I kind of see that as being the team that he's got around him seems to be about the best team that you could possibly have considered Trump surrounding himself with. As I had very low expectations going into the last week.
All right. Abe Froman, Director of Operations at Digital Asset Redemption. Abe, thank you as always. Appreciate your insights.
Yep.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I should have done it sooner. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and that's what a number of people say to me when they come up and talk to me about QC Kinetics. Why did I wait so long? So let me ask you a question to see if whether or not you're a good candidate for QC Kinetics. Do you have trouble sleeping, walking, day-to-day movement? Do you want to avoid surgery and all the pain, the long recovery, and the uncertainty that comes with it? Do you miss doing things like golfing, jogging, playing pickleball? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, I bet you're a great candidate. So please don't wait. Contact our good friends at QC Kinetics right now and ask for your free consultation. Learn how the latest advances in regenerative medicine can help you and give you lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
The fight against abortion in Illinois has never been more important than it is right now. Thanks to our elected officials, Illinois has become an abortion tourism destination. The number of abortions in our state continues to grow, despite the fact that crisis pregnancy centers outnumber abortion clinics almost 3-1. Now, thanks to a new effort by Caring Network, it's possible to reach abortion-minded women to provide peace of mind and security to help them choose life. This new Reach Her First initiative seeks to provide women with the assurance and information they need before they choose an abortion. But Caring Network needs your help to reach women who are considering abortion. For a one-time gift of just $150, you can help reach 5 women and help them choose life. That's all it takes to prevent an abortion. To make that gift, just go to 560theanswer.com/caring. That's 560theanswer.com/caring.
We always use M13. They can print anything.
They design and price match. M13 does amazing work.
M13 Graphics has helped make our brand stand out. They're definitely the best for less.
Before M13, amateur. With M13, we look awesome.
M13 Graphics, Chicago's leader in full-color design and printing. Set your business up for success with exceptional print products, turned around in just 24 to 48 hours. Business cards, postcards, posters, banners, brochures, apparel, you name it. M13 will design and print nearly anything for your business. They have the right people in place and a reputation that keeps customers happy and coming back for more. They're a Chicago company that embodies the idea of business integrity. They live it every day. After all, in this country, you're free to do business with who you choose. Respect that freedom. Choose the best. For speedy turnaround, excellent service, and the best pricing in Chicagoland, choose M13 Graphics for all your design and printing. Online at M13.com. Visit M13.com or call now, toll free, 877-M13-1913. That's 877-M13-1913.
In 2012, the Journal of Cognition and Emotion published a study that showed that we make a decision to trust a person within 100 milliseconds of seeing their face. Making a good first impression has never been more important, and you can make that positive impression with a professional headshot from Tom Killoran Photography. Whether you're a job seeker trying to land your next position, or you're looking to build your business by connecting with prospective clients and customers, you need a high-quality headshot to use with your resume, portfolio, website, or other marketing materials. The experts at Tom Killoran Photography can work with you to capture the exact look you need for your professional presentation. Tom Killoran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see a sample of their work, just visit KilloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN Photography.com, or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Killoran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
This country was founded on freedom. Freedom from a country that forced us to buy overpriced tea and then trying to blockade us when we dumped their tea into the ocean. How'd that work out? Well, it's time to throw your overpriced big wireless contract overboard as well. Pure Talk, a veteran-owned company, my cell phone company, says no to inflated prices. With a qualifying plan, you can choose an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Galaxy for $0. And yes, this is for premium service on America's most dependable 5G network. Get your iPhone 14, Samsung Galaxy, $0 qualifying plan. You just dial pound 250. You say the keywords Pure Talk, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. No hassle, no gimmicks, just honest-to-goodness wireless price right. Dial pound 250. You say the keywords Pure Talk. Claim your new iPhone or Galaxy with a qualifying purchase from Pure Talk, which is America's wireless company. Visit puretalk.com for details.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. This new year, get out of debt now. There are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. In 2025, resolve to get rid of your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. For almost 20 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. To celebrate 2025, you can start for as little as $99 regardless of how much debt you owe. Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Christian-owned company. End the endless cycle of payments now. Take a stand. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially cut your monthly payments. Call Christian-owned Total Financial Freedom now for a free consultation at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
AM 560, The Answer.
People asking if Abe Froman, our crypto guy, if that's his real name. No, it's not his real name. His real name is Cassius Clay. Oh. So, there you go.
You're not supposed to give up the info. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
7:37, Chicago retains its title and Illinois retains its title. We'll tell you what those titles are when Ted Dabrowski joins us at 7:37.
And later, how to self-deport. Yes, there's an app for that. But now let's head into the newsroom. Once again, here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
7:31 here in Chicago, and we're watching Ukraine and Russia today. Ukraine appears to have carried out its largest drone attack to date against Russia. Over 90 drones were used to target Moscow. There have been those killed on the ground. The stock market having its worst start to a presidential term since 2009. According to the Dow Jones market data, stocks suffered their weakest first 50 days of a presidency since Barack Obama's first term. But economist Peter St. Onge says it's to be expected as President Trump moves to cut government waste.
Trump's first job report, that just came out a couple days ago. We're back to 93% of job creation in the private sector. That's how it's supposed to work.
The tech-heavy NASDAQ shed 11%. A federal judge in New York halting efforts from the Trump administration temporarily to deport Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil.
I think that the students have a right to their free speech on campus.
ICE agents took Khalil into custody. He had been involved in anti-Israel pro-Hamas protests at Columbia University in recent months. 3 are dead after a medical transport crashes in rural Mississippi. Madison County sheriffs say the helicopter went down in a densely wooded area near Natchez Trace. After hitting 57 degrees early this morning, temperatures will drop into the 30s by the afternoon, but a warm-up is on the way. We could be back near 70 by Friday. There's new fallout from hidden cameras caught recording people inside of a bathroom in Highland Park Middle School. A victim is now speaking out because she believes nothing was done to protect her and others. Back in February, Highland Park police arrested a juvenile for hiding a camera inside the bathrooms of the middle school and high school. And an Arlington Heights man faces charges after a Chicago police officer was struck by a vehicle on the west side over the weekend. Officers were patrolling on foot Saturday night when a vehicle struck an officer. That officer is in good condition. The driver of that vehicle, Jose Ruiz Crespin, has been arrested on multiple charges. Chicago sports. Bulls earn their third win in a row. They blow out the Pacers 121-103. The Blackhawks blanked by Colorado last night 3-0. College hoops. Notre Dame opens up ACC tournament play with a game against Pitt this afternoon. Big Ten tournament action. Northwestern will take on Minnesota tomorrow. And our congratulations to Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville. They're dancing after clinching the Ohio Valley tournament. The news, a service of Low T Center. If you're not feeling the same energy anymore, testosterone therapy or TRT may be the answer. Look for personalized treatment like you'll get with the TRT experts at Low T Center. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment. That's lowtcenter.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk explains the issues with Zelensky.
Something about Zelensky and how he feels or his attitude, or there's something more sinister going. I think there's somebody in Zelensky's ear. Zelensky needs America. America does not need Zelensky. Ukraine needs America. America does not need Ukraine.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. It's easy to get distracted by national politics, but Illinoisans need to pay attention to what legislators in Springfield are proposing. Bills are flying out of committee that grow government and further create a dependency culture where people believe the government is there to bail them out of every bad decision they've made in their life. Here's one example of such from last week's committee action. Illinois Treasurer Michael Frerichs has teed up a bill to expand the use of state money to refinance student loans at a lower rate. Frerichs first got this semi-student loan bailout legislation passed in 2019. The legislature agreed to allow Frerichs to invest 5% of state money, about $600 million, with a bank that finances student loans using income share agreements at a lower rate than they could receive in the private market. Income share agreements are gone in the new bill, but now Frerichs wants to invest $1.5 billion of Illinois funds to refinance high-interest loans that Illinois residents attending Illinois colleges have already taken out. Frerichs bemoans the high cost of college, the fact that some students fail to graduate and still have loans to pay off, and that student debt can cause graduates to delay major economic decisions like home purchases. This policy fails on so many levels. First, it does not focus on lowering the cost of college. Illinois public universities are much more costly than their peers. Second, it does not force universities to assume some responsibility for providing programs with marketable skills and monitoring students' matriculation. It gives preferential treatment to college students for loan assistance. Well, what about tradesmen or underwater homeowners? Fourth, and most importantly, this program is not a core service of government. Here's a reminder to legislators. The first question in evaluating any bill is to ask, is this something government should be doing? I'm Jeannie Ives. Check out The Real Story with me Sunday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
7:37. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. This update is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over if you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP. Learn more and check if you qualify. Almostfreeteeth.com. Kennedy at 55 minutes. O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. The Ike from 390 into the old post office. 75 minutes. Ike outbound. Accident right shoulder between Pulaski and Austin. Delays on the Dan Ryan stop-and-go traffic, all due to an earlier stall at 33rd. This is inbound. Your delay is between 51st and the Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy and cooler with times of sun and clouds. High 52, but we had that earlier this morning, and temperatures will tumble throughout the day, down to a low of 34 overnight, and a cooler day ahead tomorrow. Sun through high clouds and a high of 55. Currently 48. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving
Top of the morning,
out.
Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related, and congratulations are in order. And it takes everybody. Once again, I'm happy to report.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy about it. They like who's in office. They like what's going on. So this is going to be good news. Nothing but good news. That's all you get here. Illinois and Chicago have both retained their titles in 2024.
As?
Illinois with the highest state and local combined tax burden in the country, and Chicago as the murder capital of the country. On the state and local tax burden, 13,000 plus in taxes. Illinois households earning a median income of $79,000 will face the highest taxes in the nation. The taxes will be $4,400 and change higher than the national average, or nearly 52% higher than the national average. Right, but we're doing 52% better.
Yeah, that's what Brandon Johnson would say.
It's
and I
going
thought
well.
Brandon Johnson was just at the Capitol saying that Chicago's a safe city now, that homicides are down, crime is down under his watch.
Chicago had 579 homicides in 2024, or 573. Yeah, 573.
Yeah, it is.
Which is about one per 20. About 21 and a half per 100,000 residents. By comparison, New York had 4.6 homicides per 100,000 residents. So Chicago 5x the murder rate of New York, and just on the subways alone, New York doesn't strike me as the safest place in the country either. Other big cities with top the list in terms of like the top 10, but Chicago far and away the most in aggregate, and the 13th in per capita. St. Louis has the highest per capita murder rate in the country, more than twice that of Chicago's at 52 murders per 100,000 residents. And what do all these cities that top and states that top these respective lists have in common? They're all governed by people like Jelly Belly and Brandon Johnson, BLM Brandon. For more on all this, we're pleased to be joined by Ted Dabrowski now. Ted, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. And it's great to talk about, us being number one again.
Number one with a bullet, literally.
Yeah, it's really sad. these politicians we have keep trying to say that things are better here, that we're doing well, balanced budgets, things are better for Illinoisans, it's safer streets, but it's just not true. And, they repeat it, they get parroted by most of the media. But the facts on the ground, and when you look at them, it's a sad situation for us, and that's why we keep highlighting it at wire points until we're going to scream it from the mountaintops until eventually something matters to Illinoisans and they change things.
Well, the other piece of this too. This was a study by Wallet Hub in terms of combined state and local tax burden, something that's been talked about for a long time, and the real kicker that ensures Illinois maintains its highest state and local tax burden designation is property taxes, which we can't seem to get anybody motivated about it either. And that obviously has much wider distribution of pain than does violent crime, which is concentrated in Chicago and some other mid-sized metropolitan areas.
Yeah, I've been traveling around a bit. I was in Decatur the other day. I was in Mattoon as well, and you hear about the stories all the time that this property taxes have a big impact. Has a big impact on housing, of course, your home values, and people can't help but see how much cheaper Indiana is and other states across the country. How much cheaper it is to own a home, to buy. Well, it's expensive to buy a home now because things have gone up so much. But these taxes are a huge tax and burden on people, and it hasn't gone away. It's actually gotten worse. They're talking about increasing pension benefits now for these second tier pensioners. That'll go straight to property taxes. So the problem hasn't gone away.
What about everybody wants a Doge, an Illinois version of Doge? Do you think that will come to Chicago and to Illinois?
Well, it's never going to come under these guys, right? I mean, these guys are the opposite of Doge. Pritzker, Johnson, they're anti-Doge, right? They want to spend more and more. And if you just look at Pritzker's budgets, right, they're massively higher. They're massively higher than they used to be when Pritzker took over, and his projections are to go massively higher again. So it's kind of funny we talk about property taxes in the same breath as that, because more government spending is more taxes. And of course Johnson wants to keep borrowing money because he can't seem to find it anywhere. So those are all negative things. So we urgently need a Doge. And I tell you, this whole like we've talked about the wringing hands over Doge and at the federal level and how painful it is and all that. I mean, it's what you need here badly because we can't find a way to stop Pittsburgh or the legislature.
Yeah, I misspoke with that question. I meant to say, do you think Trump and the federal officials will come into Illinois and help us, say, with education and with the economy and with crime? I'd like for Trump to do whatever he's supposed to do at the federal level to help us. I don't want the federal government to come tell Illinois what to do on things that Illinois should be doing. It's we don't need a bailout in that sense, but
no, quite the opposite. They should pull back federal funds, which is exactly what they're talking about doing to places like sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, which is why Pam Bondi filed suit against the state of Illinois. And that's exactly what they should do. They should back up what they said by punishing states that, punish their residents. You want to punish your residents, that's fine. And your residents want to support that, that's fine. But what we do at the federal level is put our scarce resources to its highest best use. And Illinois doesn't seem interested in that. At the university level, too, like pulling $400 million in grants to Columbia. I mean, all that stuff. There should be all of this caterwauling from the political class here and and frankly, the apathy from the larger electorate. You know what that should be? That should be like a red cape being waved in front of the Trump administration.
Yeah, I mean, some people try to say, Trump should come and do take over our schools and all that. Hell no. I mean, I think you've got it right, Dan. We've got to pay the price. It's what we vote for, and we're 50 laboratories in this country, and if we don't do it well, people can move. But what we don't want to do is have a federal government impose on us things. They can cut the federal funding, like Dan says. That's correct, because why should they fund failure?
And why should and choices that we make? We talked about it last week. Expanding Medicaid. You want to expand Medicaid, make it a middle income entitlement program. You want to put hundreds of thousands of people in this country illegally residing in your state on the Medicaid rolls. That's fine, but you pay for it.
You pay for it.
We'll continue to pick up our percentage of the Medicaid program at the federal level, consistent with the prescriptions of the program. Anything you want to do that exceeds those parameters set by statute of the program, well, you pay for it.
Well, yeah, that's the whole ACA expansion, the whole Medicaid expansion was crazy because the government said they pay for 100% and then 90%. So effectively, the federal government was funding all kinds of just added people to the Medicaid rolls. Well, Trump is right to roll that back, and if Pritzker wants to keep paying for it, he'd have to charge Illinois for it. But we'll see where all that ends up. But the DOGE impact is massive, and it has to happen because it has to happen at the federal level. And of course, one day it will happen here, one way or the other, whether it's imposed by the markets, whether it's imposed by people leaving the state, or whether we finally get new leadership that imposes it. But we're going to need a DOGE here. It's just got to be done the right way.
And the Department of Education can also strip out any funding it's providing to K through 12 government school systems, not just the universities, K through 12 government school systems that are still DEI and gender identity addled, like your local school district that you wrote about on Wire Points there in Wilmette.
Well, yeah, local twice, right? Northwestern, of course. Northwestern just got warned as well. Just like you said, mentioned Columbia losing hundreds of millions of dollars. Northwestern's being warned as well, and then right 1 block away from me, or 3 blocks away from me, I should say, is my local school, and they're reading books that are just ultra extreme in terms of transgenderism to 4th graders, to 10-year-olds. They're telling 10-year-olds, your gender can change day to day, year to year. You might be a boy, you might be a girl, you might be both, you might be neither. And, that's, I don't care what your views are on transgenderism. I think we should agree that it doesn't belong in the public schools and it shouldn't be funded by public dollars.
Wilmette Central School.
Especially for 10-year-olds in particular.
Yeah, Wilmette Central School is what you write about, and the book called "It Feels Good to Be Yourself," and then it talks about this Ruthie, who at 5 years old determined that she was a he. Her younger brother was 3.5 when he announced he was a he, and so on and so forth. This is, was this written by Charlize Theron?
Well, are we supposed to be stopping this? Didn't Trump sign an executive order so that we can't have this kind of smut in our schools?
Well, those are precisely the questions because, I just saw yesterday in the News Sun-Times that, the new Cook County recorder, I forget which role she has, she's leaning in and saying, no, I'm announcing a new DEI clerk, and everything the clerk's office will be done rooted in equity. So, there's people leaning into it. And the schools in Illinois haven't said they're going to back off yet, so we're going to have to see where Trump's orders kick in and how they enforce that. But you can expect massive pushback here in Illinois, and they're not going to roll over here.
Well, why wouldn't they continue on? They haven't been punished politically, and they will continue until they're punished politically.
Exactly.
So we'll see. Also, too, this is going around. The new Marxist party that controls everything in Illinois and Chicago is going back to the well with, all their entire wish list built up over generations, including making homeschooling families register with the local school district. That's back on the table in Springfield. And then this one, too. This is really sort of interesting why you would be interested to do this. Senator Kim Lightford has introduced legislation that would reduce the distance from which a convicted sex offender needs to maintain to a school building. So in other words,
eliminate weekly check-ins.
So right now, you're a sex offender. You can't reside within 500 feet of a school building, and she has introduced legislation to make that only 250 feet. Now, I don't know what the magic is between 500 and 250 feet, but I don't know why anybody would take this up and get in the business of trying to allow sex offenders to be closer to schools, for example.
This is the problem. I was reading what Breakthrough Ideas put out on some of the bills being considered, and this is why we need a DOGE, because we should flip the discussion from all these silly things, small things, and dangerous things, by the way, right? If you're bringing sex offenders closer to schools, but they spend all their time on laws that I can't believe that that's what they sit there and do. I can believe it, but that's what they do. Absurd laws that don't help the the 80-20, right? Like we just talked about, property taxes and crime and all that, and better schools. Instead, it's all this weird stuff. That's what they have time for, and it's and we pay a lot of money to them too, right? We pay the fifth highest salaries, and they get these big pensions. Most of these lawmakers should be just fired, and we should start over. But that's a tough task.
Well, I mean, it's on their agenda to make Illinois more sex offender friendly. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, I just want to bring up one other point that should become interesting. And, we got to watch what these markets do as the correction goes on. But, Chicago is starting to get more and more. I'm hearing more and more about the risks financially. As the stock market goes down, you have to start thinking about Chicago pensions, the talk of bankruptcy, especially with the Trump administration. People willing to talk about those kind of things. So watch that bankruptcy discussion as things heat up, especially in the financial market.
Yeah, but bankruptcy requires approval from Springfield, and you're not going to get approval from Springfield because that would be a admission of fault by the governor, by legislators, by the mayor. Nobody wants to be the person who presides over a city or state's bankruptcy.
No, you're absolutely right. I think the whole point will be pressure from outside for bankruptcy and people talking about why isn't Chicago going bankrupt and things like that. So, these guys will never pursue it, and they'll do everything they can to protect it and find all kinds of ways to wiggle out and borrow money. But I've seen this. This part of my professional life before I started doing this stuff was financial markets and bond markets, and at some point the market doesn't like you, and they punish the hell out of you. It's hard to do in a state versus a country, but we're headed that way, I think, in Chicago.
Ted Dabrowski, President of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Guys, if you often feel tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out your numbers by contacting my friends at Low T Center. They make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you get to the results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. They're health providers specializing in treating low T with personalized testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients, and, this is super important, their treatment plans are optimized for each patient. They're not just basic standard dosage treatments. Also at Low T Center, you can get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best this year. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today, and tell them Dan Proft sent you when you do. That's lowtcenter.com. lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy. Pretty much hands off, They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how did it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask like 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Jim Scudder explains the
Somebody texted into the show, Dan and Amy, there's also an Illinois House Bill 2951 introduced by Grays Lake State Rep Laura Diaz that would prohibit public high schools in the entire state of Illinois from starting their days prior to 8:45 a.m. Shouldn't that be up to each school district? I mean, what time did you start school? Do you remember?
Well, I don't know. 8:30 or something. I mean,
yeah, it's just
whatever.
ridiculous.
The K through 12 school system, government school system in Illinois is a catastrophe, and it just
and that's
gets
what they're
worse.
focusing on. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
808, Love is Blind, and Why Dan Proft a Single. 808.
Now let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Trying to prevent a government shutdown. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what House Republicans hope to do with an afternoon vote on a spending plan to fund the government ahead of Friday's deadline. Congressman Ben Cline tells Fox.
We need to break the stranglehold that the swamp has on the D.C. bureaucracy, strengthen the border, provide for energy independence, get the woke out of the Pentagon.
But Democrats do not support that plan, and if 2 Republicans join them with a slim GOP majority, the bill would not pass. One is already saying he's a no, prompting a Trump Truth Social post.
President Trump says Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie should be primaried for being a hard no, saying he's, quote, just another grandstander who's too much trouble and not worth the fight. Massie in a post on X saying, quote, 3 times I've had a challenger who tried to be more MAGA than me. None busted 25% because my constituents prefer transparency and principles over blind allegiance.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz at the Capitol. There will also be House hearings today into DOGE and its attempt to cut waste, fraud, and abuse from federal government spending the day after a federal judge ruled that DOGE challengers can likely make freedom of information requests to get info on what DOGE is doing, writing the agency has unprecedented authority and unusual secrecy. Elon Musk, who's been leading DOGE's efforts, tells Fox Business they're being transparent.
When we get criticism, we say, like, of what? Which line do you disagree with? Like, which cost saving do you disagree with? And then people usually can't think of any.
There's a new U.S. attempt to stop Russia's war in Ukraine. In Saudi Arabia, last month they met with Russian officials there. Now it's Ukraine's turn.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Michael Waltz are meeting with a Ukrainian delegation today. A senior State Department official says the fact that the Ukrainians are willing to sit down signals they are serious about reaching a ceasefire deal.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. Ukraine hit Russia overnight with a drone barrage. 3 people were killed. America's listening to Fox News.
48 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. After hitting 57 very early this morning, like right after midnight, temperatures have dropped all morning long. We will be back down into the upper 30s by the afternoon, and we'll be back near 70 by Friday. New Hampshire Democrats seeking a glimmer of hope for the future are poised to get their first visit from a potential 2028 presidential contender. J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois. Pritzker will deliver the keynote address at a state Democrat Party fundraiser. A person was killed after being struck by a Metra Union Pacific North Line train in Evanston Monday night near the Davis Street station. The train was headed to Kenosha, Wisconsin. Federal jury awards two men who were exonerated of a 2003 Chicago murder $60 million each. Anthony Mitchell and John Fulton filed suit claiming they were forced into giving false confessions that put them behind bars for over 15 years. Northwestern University being warned that it must protect Jewish students on campus or face federal budget cuts. The Office of Civil Rights of the DOE sending a letter to 60 institutions, including Northwestern, saying they need to fulfill their obligations to the Civil Rights Act to protect Jewish students. Bulls beat the Pacers 121-103. Blackhawks blanked by the Avs 3-0. Baseball, Cubs stopped the Cleveland Guardians 7-4, while the White Sox were winners over the A's 10-3. The news service of Low T Center. Look for personalized treatment like you'll get with the TRT experts at Low T Center. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment. lowtcenter.com. 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Taylor Riggs, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures are indicating some recovery today after yesterday's market sell-off. The Dow and S&P posted the worst day since December on fears the economy could be facing a recession. Southwest Airlines is making a big change. For the first time, it will charge for checking bags. The change takes effect for bookings made on or after May 28th. Top loyalty status, expensive tickets, and Southwest credit card holders will get a break. The amount of the bag fee hasn't been revealed. The news comes on top of Delta Airlines lowering expectations for this year because it's seeing travel demand cooling. And the National Federation of Independent Business says its optimism index dropped more than 2 points in February because of uncertainty about the economy. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher explains the president's stance on the war in Ukraine.
He wants the killing to end. He wants the war to end. And he's not going to take a side because there are young Russian boys that are being killed. There are young Ukrainians being killed. It's a humanity issue. And I'm confident President Trump is going to help broker peace between these two nations.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
This is Seth Leibson for Townhall.com. 2 points of pride come from reading a recent profile of Sebastian Gorka in the Free Press. Dr. Gorka is the senior advisor for counterterrorism at the National Security Council and, like President Trump on so many issues, has hit the ground running. Point 1. Dr. Gorka was selected by a president who was elected to better protect America, Americans, and her allies. And 2. Dr. Gorka entered this role after years of writing and thinking through issues of American security and terrorism, and most immediately from Salem Radio. Dr. Gorka's position is that of Richard Clark's, subject of fawning attention under Bill Clinton and George W. Bush in the late 90s and early 2000s. It's too much to expect the same level of admiration for Dr. Gorka from today's media, but he more than deserves it. Already, with Gorka's guidance, the U.S. has removed 23 terrorists from the earth, including an al-Qaeda leader in Syria. He is changing our national security modus operandi from monitoring to action, making us and the world a safer place. Thank you, President Trump and Dr. Gorka.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Heroes like Austin Reese have paid a high price for our freedom. Austin served 3 deployments to Iraq. He spent 13 years with the Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit and became a military freefall instructor. But in what was thought to be a routine jump, something went terribly wrong. Austin was left paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers built Austin a specially adapted smart home. Help heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
8:09, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of Anthony DeGrotto State Farm, a guest contributor to Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, Sundays at 6. Here by Anthony's team is like a good neighbor. State Farm is there. I-65, Northwest Indiana. Southbound side, you've got 2 right lanes blocked with an accident. It's approaching 49th right now. Elk Grove Village, Devon and Ridge, report of an accident. Winfield, report of an accident at Roosevelt and Gary's Mill Road. And in Oak Brook, 22nd and Route 83, major intersection with a major accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Times of clouds and sun, breezy cool day, high today 52, partly cloudy tonight, low 34. Sun and clouds for tomorrow, the high 55. And then Thursday, sunny, mild day, the high at 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
48 degrees at O'Hare, next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
Bring it in, ladies. Let's go.
The show Love is Blind. Are you familiar with this show?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I'm sure you don't watch it.
I don't watch it. I'm see if I can divine the concept of the show from this title. They don't see. They just talk to their prospective mates and then ultimately pick one and get married. But they don't see it before they go down before they're at the altar, right? Or something like that.
Yep.
Is that what it is?
Like Love Connection, but a little more intense.
Well, right,
because you spend time with them, and then you don't, and then the big reveal, and then while you're walking down the aisle.
Right, but do you know this show?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yes, I'm familiar with it. Yeah, it's weird. I don't like. Is that the concept? I don't like this show.
But do you not see? But okay, so like the concept, we're not interested in your Roger Ebert on it. Oh. The concept is you don't see the person until you're at the altar. Is that right?
Correct. Okay. Unless I've got that wrong, but that is the premise of the show.
Thus the title, Love is Blind. Well, on season 8, Sarah, the oncology nurse, is set to marry Ben, who, I don't know what he does. Don't care.
I can look it up.
Don't really care much about Sarah either. Anyway, this is what happens at the altar with the family present, of course, camera shooting. Now, I don't know how scripted these shows are or whatever, but it's almost immaterial because why you would defile yourself to do this, whether it's scripted or authentic. It doesn't matter much to me. This is what happened at the altar when Sarah and Ben were about to say their I do's. Sarah said,
I love you so much. But I've always wanted a partner to be on the same wavelength. And so today I can't.
The sound of the boom. Drop the boom.
I'm sorry, but I don't want that to be misunderstood. I still love you, and everything about you is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I care about you so much.
I care about you too. I love you so much. And I know I want to stay with you and keep growing our relationship if you let me.
Oh my God. We'll see. We'll talk about that. Okay. I love you.
I love you so much.
I know that the connection we have is so real, and my heart is there. But we talked about a lot of the values that I hold so close to my heart. Making this decision, my mind is telling me I can't. Are you okay?
And she walks down the aisle, walks out in front of everybody.
See me in the back. Oh my gosh, I'm fine. I'm fine. Get me out of here.
Maybe he's blessed.
You guys, really, I'm okay. I don't know. I feel kind of numb. Do you? Oh yeah. I was
Wait
sad.
for
Like,
it.
I was
Wait
really
for it.
excited about Ben, and I'm just, like, he's such a great person. I just like. What? I just hope I made the right decision.
Hi guys.
Oh my goodness.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Yeah. It was a lot, but we're rolling with it. I just want to talk to her. Yeah.
Was it like the time frame? I mean, I knew the whole time coming into this, the time frame, like that's not, like I feel like I know him. Like really. Yeah. Like I remember, like I asked him about like Black Lives Matter, and I'm no expert, but like when I asked him about it, he was like, I guess I've never really thought too much about it. That affected me, especially in our own city. Like how could it not? How did it not make you think about something? I asked him too, like what his church's views are, and he said he didn't know. And so then I watched a sermon online From his church. about, sexual identity. Okay. And it was traditional. I told that to Ben. And his thoughts on it. He doesn't really have much to say about it, you know? I want him to think about that stuff. Sometimes I did wonder if it was surface, fun, carefree love that we had. Equality, religion, the vaccine.
The vaccine. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that very same line. And if you want to watch the show, it is on Netflix, by the way. We didn't mention that.
I wouldn't encourage it.
Yeah.
I think just listening to that clip is enough intellectual violence inflicted upon you by Ben and Sarah. Anyway, so Sarah couldn't pull the trigger at the altar because Ben didn't give proper answers on Black Lives Matter, on the vaccine, and on gender identity politics, apparently.
And church beliefs.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, if it was me on one of these programs, which it never would be, but I would have walked off the show when she said especially. That's enough for me. I don't even need to get into the political laws. Especially, she can't pronounce especially. Yeah, that's a deal breaker for me right there.
That's the deal breaker in all of this that you just saw from that clip? Okay.
Well, because I have no empathy for Ben. I mean, he's a man without a chest. He's a doofus. Mm-hmm. He's standing there. First of all, he gets left at the altar like that. Well, first of all, he's on this show. Secondly, their expedited timeline to get two people to the altar, and then this is the first time they see each other, and then they're going to have this conversation in front of all their family and friends, the staged wedding. I mean, you have no self-respect. I got it. Okay, so it's a problem with both of them. But as much as you want to just heap scorn on the honky leftist chick, I mean, he's a tool as well. I mean, you asked him about these things. I don't know. Rather than having whatever position he has on these issues, he's like given this no thought. I mean, how this is not a person who is engaged in the goings around here. And I don't want to hear this like I'm apolitical. Yeah, well, guess what? That doesn't wash. No. Not on these core issues that impact everybody's quality of life. You have to be a little bit other regarding. To say I'm apolitical is to be a navel-gazing solipsist, is to be a non-adult. So I have no sympathy for Ben, but she's a lunatic. And I mean, and these are the sorts of things that, how do they get to the altar if these things are so important to her? Now, the flip side is then they had this conversation and Ben didn't take any position and she thought, well, I'll just keep going to the altar, and then when the moment of truth comes, I'll drop the hammer.
She walked away. So basically, this season is centered in Minneapolis, and what
sure.
they do is
they should have the wedding at George Floyd Square.
Oh, maybe this just to walk you through it. The contestants date through pods and talk through a wall for hours on end, and then meet face to face after the proposal to decide whether or not they want to be together. So I think she went through with it to the end for attention.
Oh, after the proposal, but before the ceremony.
Yes.
So
but
you had some time.
Not a long length of time. Well,
no, you had some time though.
But and this is the second time this happened. Last season, Dan, this happened in D.C. They filmed there, and it was right before the presidential election. And one of the would-be couples broke up because of the same thing, because of politics.
Yeah, okay.
312-642-5600.
Well, that's fine. You should break up because of politics.
But don't you know so many couples?
For that.
But don't you know a lot of couples who you have a conservative male and a liberal female, and I don't know how in the world they make that work.
No, I don't know many couples like that, actually. I don't. I know a few, but not many, not the preponderance.
We have some of the listeners to our show, their spouses are very liberal.
Yeah, I know.
That's why they show up alone to our events.
Yeah, well, they should just break up.
After 52 years of marriage.
I don't care.
I'm not gonna.
I mean, I'm not holding myself out as, as a therapist or a marriage counselor. So don't listen to what I have to say. I mean, look at me. But I'm just saying I'm just giving you my opinion on that. That's crazy stuff. This is all crazy. This is why I want no part of it. Deborah in Arlington Heights.
So wait, she said that she loves everything about him. That's
yes.
what she prefaced everything with.
Yeah.
She loves everything about him, and she loves him. So you would have to love that as well.
And he loves her. But they can't make the love work. Sometimes love just isn't enough, Deborah.
So also, you had a problem with the especially. I had a problem with the upspeak. That's like a disqualifier right away.
Yeah, I agree. Agree with that. Yeah, the sing-songy. Yeah, I agree. Thanks, Deborah.
Wow, you guys are rough.
Bill, Northwest Side.
Yeah, she did Ben a favor because Ben is a moron for considering marrying her in the first place.
Well, the problem is Ben is a moron just in general. And thanks for the call, Bill. I mean, this guy is an empty vessel. And then after he gets left at the altar, I know it's reality TV scripted and stuff. But then he does like these, I don't know, he's talking to friends or bridesmaids or something. He's like, it's all good. I just want to talk to her. Yeah, I mean, they're just like, no, there is. He's smooth down there. Maybe that was one of the other problems.
Oh, Dan, gross. Lots of text messages coming in. What does a man talk to a woman for hours on end without knowing what she looks like? Well, that's the premise of the show. Love is Blind. But then politics isn't.
Well, but then right. But you're sort of talking about all this stuff. But then you see them. So at some point, I mean, not to defend these ghastly shows, but you see them before the proposal, so you can always walk away at that point if she comes around the turn and she's a gargoyle. Robert,
they just so you know, they disclose their identities to each other after the proposal, after she says yes.
Well, okay, but you can still say but now I can't do it. And you could do that before you're, on the quote unquote altar and in front of everybody. Say, at second thought, I'm never going to be able to get past that. Robert in Lakeview.
Hey, Dan and Amy. Yeah, I just wanted to. So I watched this show with my girlfriend. We've been dating for over a year and a half. She loves this show, and she loves 90 Day Fiance as well.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah. She loves car crashes. Right, I get it.
And, I think the biggest utility for us is the comedic, element of these people's lives. And they're just not serious people.
No, right.
They're not serious people. They're non-adults, as you said. And we sort of use it to talk about issues, too, and our perspectives on different things in our relationship. Like, oh, wow, she did that to him. What do you think of that? Or he said that. What do you think of that? And my girlfriend and I are very aligned on all of those core issues, and politically. But we have different takes on things too, though, right? But when it comes to the fundamentals, we're aligned. And yeah, it's just amazing to me when we watch the shows and just these people don't talk about these things. And it's the men. I swear it is a theme where these men are scared to share their true beliefs on camera.
Yeah.
They need to stick their chests out, and maybe they just haven't quite articulated and had the conversations that they need to have and done the research to be able to defend their views. And watching the shows, it's just, if you're a Christian, you got to be ready to defend yourself.
Thanks
Good
for the
point.
call, Robert.
Was he surprised when Sarah left Ben at the altar? I wanted to ask him.
I mean, these shows, all these shows are it's like a dressed up Jerry Springer show. I mean, it's like half a dial turn because it's a little bit more, I don't know, mainstream, however you want to describe it. You know what I'm talking about. This is Jerry Springer, Sally Jesse Raphael, Jerry Rivers. This is all this sort of bottom feeding element. But you do this, and I would go all the way up to the Golden Bachelor shows and all this stuff too. And by the way, I have a friend of a friend who's a finalist for the Golden Bachelor.
Really?
It's crazy.
What's his name?
I'm not telling anybody. I'm not giving any names out. But the point is, these shows are all, gutter shows, just like the Springer shows of lore. That's just sort of polished up a little bit, and so the people are too. I mean, these are they're non-adults. They're. I mean, maybe they don't speak with the same dialect. Maybe they don't come out wearing 400 pounds with no clothes on, but they're just as ghetto as the parade of horribles that you would see on those other shows. I mean, this is not like a cultural advancement.
No.
Ralph and Rantoul.
Hi. Good morning, Dan and Amy. I was accidentally exposed to this show.
Like a virus, you were accidentally exposed.
I didn't even know that it existed. And after a brief exposure, I first of all, I didn't know what it was. I had to be explained to what it was. And my IQ dropped so dramatically just in that brief exposure that I forgot my name. I was tying my shoes. I forgot which loop, I had to extract myself from the room and recover a little bit. And then I thought, how does stuff like this get on television? And
oh, please.
It makes me happy that I generally don't watch TV. But But you know what? I think
these shows are like leftist conditioning exercises. This is from the central office.
All blind dates. I mean, I found Mrs. Ralph through a blind date. A mutual friend set us up. But we actually met and talked and got to know each other and, all that kind of stuff. Initially, it was like, I think you ought to talk to so-and-so. And it's like, forget about it, I don't need another girl, and then her friend.
She swept you off your feet?
You should talk to this guy. And, it was not love at first sight, maybe second, third, or fourth. But, we've been together a long time. So blind dates can work. But this nonsense is crazy.
Yeah,
I'm sure your wife
Thanks
would
for
love
the
to hear
call, Ralph.
that. Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
love at first sight, but the second or third sight.
Well,
just keep that under wraps. I mean,
I don't know.
A lady wants to hear that, Dan.
Mrs. Ralph seems happy, as far as we know.
It's like if she's alive.
Paul and Carrie.
Yeah, I don't know if the dude knows that he dodged a bullet on this one. And also, I think the reveal is for her in correlation with her values. She has discovered that she should be dating a black lesbian Baptist.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the scariest part about this is that she's an oncology nurse, if she indeed is. If that's not just something they made up to make these two nitwits sound professional or something. But if she really is, oh my goodness. Ugh.
I don't think they'd make that up. But then again.
Yeah, no, for sure. Of course, the ethics of TV producers. No, they would never blur the line between truth and fiction. No, of course not. Anyway, I mean, there's just so many layers to this installment of Why Dan Proft is Single. There's so many explanations you can pull from just that 3-minute event that we provided for you. I think it's self-explanatory. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
President Trump has made some pretty amazing claims since he's taken his seat as president. He's delivering on what he promised. On Inauguration Day, Trump's very first declaration was,
"The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish."
Consider this. Since the election, gold has shot up hundreds of dollars per ounce, shattering all-time record highs. Fox Valley Coins does not pretend to know the future, but they do know that if you're buying or selling gold or silver, they are the place to do it. These are some of the top reasons people choose a dealer. You want a national dealer with a local presence you can deal with face-to-face. You want a large selection, the best prices, and great service. You want to walk in with cash and walk out with the best product. You want to deal with legacy dealers with integrity. Whether buying or selling, or just one valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your answer for choosing a dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
That awful joint pain can impact everything in your life. Walking, climbing stairs, even doing simple things like getting out of your car, walking onto an elevator. It hurts. And guess what? It's not going to go away. It's that always there joint pain in your knees, hip, shoulder, and back. But here's the good news. QC Kinetics, they are friends of mine, and they offer groundbreaking treatments for arthritis pain or pain due to injury. Folks, we're talking long-term relief. QC Kinetics regenerative treatments are sweeping the nation, and they're right here in Chicago under the guidance of medical director Dr. Ashley Caravelli. Now, thousands of patients, including Joe Rogan, who recently mentioned his positive results from regenerative medicine, will tell you, don't wait. Call today. These new orthobiologic cellular therapies can revitalize your joints without going under the knife, without downtime, and the uncertainty that maybe the operation won't even work. Here's the number to call. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you. And they have Saturday appointments. And did I mention it's a free consultation? 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, we'll assess that new PM for now up there In Strange Brewland, Megan Murphy, Canadian writer and journalist, host of the Same Drugs podcast, joins us to discuss what will come from Canada under Carney at 8:38.
And Trudeau was brought to tears. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
8:32, 48 degrees. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the Trump administration has completed its 6-week purge of programs of the 6-decade-old agency USAID, cutting 83% of those programs. Rubio saying he would move the remaining aid programs completely under the State Department. Ukraine appears to have carried out its largest drone attack to date against Russia. Over 90 drones targeted Moscow. Some were killed. There was a suspension of train service. A person was killed after being struck by a Metra Union Pacific North Line train in Evanston late Monday night. The person was pinned under the train at the Davis Street station. It's unclear what led to that incident. Illinois lawmakers are exploring a bill that would establish guidelines for what time high schools start the instruction day. House Bill 2951 has been introduced by Grayslake State Representative Laura Favor-Diaz. It would prohibit public high schools in the state from starting their days prior to 8:45 a.m. The bill will be assigned to the Education Policy Committee and will be heard Wednesday in Springfield. An Illinois legislator from Rockford may be sticking his nose in where it doesn't belong. Democrat State Representative Maurice West has filed legislation to try and force a Southern Illinois high school near St. Louis to change its nickname.
It is an important piece of legislation, not just for the sake of reform, but for the sake of the mental health of our community.
The measure is aimed at Freeburg Community High School, which is in State Representative Kevin Schmidt's district, and he says, butt out.
They've decided multiple times to keep the Freeburg midget mascot. I think it's a state overreach.
Freeburg and Rockford are about 300 miles apart, and Schmidt says he doesn't know why West is filing the issue. West did not contact him about local legislation. Bulls earned their third win in a row, blowing out the Pacers 121-103 at the UC. The Blackhawks blanked by Colorado 3-0. The Jets have signed former Bear quarterback Justin Fields to a 2-year, $40 million contract, while the Bears continue shoring up the trenches, offensive and defensive side. Defensive linemen Dayo Odangbo and Grady Jarrett agreed to deals with the team yesterday, along with a 3-year contract for offensive lineman center Drew Dolman. The news, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, learn more and check if you qualify. AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Actions
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House.
have consequences.
The chair now directs the Sergeant at Arms to restore order.
Whether in Congress,
That Representative Al Green be censured.
or elsewhere.
There are instances of organizations receiving billions of dollars that had no previous record of doing any type of work.
Someone is going to pay with jail time.
Talk about what it all means.
Taking U.S. citizens will be answered in the toughest way possible.
On AM 560. The Answer.
It's time to throw your overpriced big wireless contract overboard. With a qualifying plan, you can choose an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Galaxy for $0. Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. No hassle, no gimmicks, just honest-to-goodness wireless price right. Dial pound 250, you say the keywords Pure Talk, claim your new iPhone or Galaxy with a qualifying purchase from Pure Talk, which is America's wireless company. Visit puretalk.com for details.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Going to be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly. Or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150. No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
8:39. Let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Rocket, giving every home one address. Rocket.com, a single seamless home ownership platform to help you find, buy, sell, finance, even refinance your home. The new home for all things under home ownership. Rocket. Own the dream. Kennedy right now, 83 minutes O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike outbound, an accident, left lane block between Sacramento and Laramie. Checking the Dan Ryan, 33 minutes, 95th into the Circle interchange. Delays on the Jane Addams coming eastbound. You'll hit the brakes right at Roselle. Veterans stop and go northbound right at the Army Trail Toll Plaza. I-80 Grundy County, you've got a disabled semi in the ditch, a right lane block. It's eastbound I-80 between the Manuka Road and Shepley. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy and cooler. Temperatures falling throughout the day. We've already hit our high of around 57 to a low of 34 overnight. And sun and clouds, a high near 55 tomorrow. It's 48 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
So up in Wisconsin, north of the Cheddar Curtain there's legislation that's been introduced. Because remember, Republicans have the state legislature, even though you have Tony Evers in the governor's mansion. Legislation has been introduced to effectively prohibit boys from playing girls' sports. Again, executive order is one thing. Funding is tied to that. But you still can move this issue at the state and local level, and that's exactly what Wisconsin legislators are attempting to do. The pro-trans side, those parents with kids that are identifying, well, boys identifying as girls who want to play girl sports, were presented by the new Marxist Party up there in Cheesehead Land so that they could testify. And, gosh, the social contagion aspect of this again. I wonder if that has some impact. I wonder if that's what's at play in so many of these cases. Here's mom number one testifying before a Wisconsin Legislative Committee on this.
Are they them? Or at least that's what I share with people most often. But for this particular meeting, I will come out fully as saying that my pronouns are she, they, him. Now, I don't usually go into that.
Okay.
Because it becomes a quite interesting, delicate conversation about what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman. And I get that. That is a conversation that we don't generally have as young people or even as adults in our current culture. Fair enough. So I will simply say what I told my 60-year-old father, who was also born and raised in the Madison area, like myself. I asked him, do you know what it means to be a man? And to his credit, he said, no, I don't. And then I asked him, do you know what it means to be a woman? And again, to his credit, he said, no, I don't. And then I looked at him and I said, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's where I land. I land at an understanding that my womanhood, as I was assigned at birth, does not come from my ability to produce children or to behave in a feminine way. And my manhood does not come in the form of my genitalia, for that can be lost too. And so there is a discussion to be had about gender identity and understanding of what it means to be part of the LGBTQ community.
There's no question that manhood can be lost. Look to her father. You could run around the Illinois General Assembly and find a bunch of men, or find a bunch of people with male genitalia that have lost their manhood. I mean, she's definitely onto something. I'll give her that. Yeah,
312-642-5600, by the way, is our phone number. You feel free to call in or text us there.
I wonder if Mom had anything to do with her son wanting to be a girl and play girl sports. You think?
She has blue hair. I mean, not like streaks. We're talking full-on blue hair.
No, that's the next one.
That's the next one? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the other one,
Excuse me.
I mean, it doesn't, I mean, the hair color is maybe an indicator, but it's secondary to what actually comes out of their mouths. It's remarkable. This is mom number 2 testifying before Wisconsin Legislative Committee about her son, who identifies as a girl.
Okay.
And she gives a lot of detail about her son and her son's genitalia.
Oh, boys love that.
An athlete. She's none of those things. She's girly girl. She's more girly girl than me. On paper, medically, she's just as much as a girl as every single other one of those girls in there. She has a penis. Guess what? It's flaccid. 90-something% of the time, it is flaccid. You talk to my daughter,
If you could
I
wrap
don't
it up,
even think
please.
she's even had an orgasm yet. She's never been with anybody. She's not even interested in it. Big scary predator, she is not. And I welcome any questions about her.
Any questions about my daughter's penis? Any questions?
Can you imagine being that teenage boy whose blue-haired mom talks about your flaccid penis?
And how does she know it's flaccid 90% of the time?
I know, that's so gross. Like, you don't talk. That's sickening. Maybe she shouldn't have custody of her child. She knows that intimate information. I mean, they actually talk about that? Come on.
It's
or did she make that up in hopes to keep her son/daughter playing sports?
I don't know what it has to do with anything, frankly. I don't know why. I didn't think that anybody was going to take it there, but there it went. So I don't know what the status of your son's penis is at any given moment. I don't know how that's relevant to his playing girl sports, but this is an argument that's being offered by the trans leftist identitarians. And how about that?
312-642-5600.
The quality of the arguments that are being lodged as to why it's okay for boys to incur into women's sports, all of this identity politics. But they are lashed to the masts of the identitarianship. And obviously, so is the governor, who refers to women as inseminated persons, in legislation, as we talked about a bit yesterday with Brian Stile. So, it persists. There's been so much political capital gained, and people are so now some people, the identitarians, are so invested in this. I know this, for people who regularly listen, may sound a bit of a broken record, but it just has to be repeated again and again. This is not going to be something where the other side just lays down their rhetorical and political arms and walks away. They're too invested.
Well, somebody texted in, so based on a 6.5-hour day at school, 10% of the day the girl can be blank and should be allowed in the girls' locker room?
No, I guess it's 90%. I guess when her daughter, when her daughter's penis is not erect, then he can go into the girls' locker room or something. I don't know. I don't know what point she's making. Honestly, I don't know. I guess that he's not a predator. Okay, nobody accused him of being a predator that I'm aware of.
No.
We're just talking about that he's a boy, and we're talking about he can't play girl sports, but he's a girly boy. Well, that doesn't change the biology. And then she gets into, as I said, excruciating detail.
Oh, my God. This text message.
The quality of the thinking here.
Yeah.
There is no thinking. There's feeling.
Right. Maybe he's flaccid because his mom is checking 92% of the time to see if he's flaccid.
Could have something to do with it. Jay and Joliet.
Hey, I'm just trying to understand why no one's calling social services on these people.
Right.
I mean, I remember for years that's what anyone would ever talk about, like even a parent talking about touching or involving their child's genitalia in public, let alone to a doctor, would be considered something about calling social services. That doesn't seem normal.
But publicly bragging about his flaccid penis is proof that he's a girl is so messed up psychologically.
Yes,
that it's hard to process this.
Well, you can understand the kids' gender dysphoria when you hear from both moms, can't you? This is the point. It's an important one about just how rare this actually is. Right up until it was politicized and became a cause celeb, and again, Prof. aphorism, what a society extols it begets. And so we have begotten exponentially more than is otherwise naturally occurring. Tony in Downers Grove.
Yes, Dan, you just can't let one be oneself. You know, why persecute these children at the expense of millions? Well, it's not hurting anyone. And I especially love the comments on social media from people that post pictures about, my girl just wrestled in the 11-year-old boys wrestling tournament. So now we conflate the issues as well. How wonderful. Yeah. It's never that many until it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks for the call, Tony. Eric, Arlington Heights.
Hi, Dan. I am so happy that I'm older than you. Every time I hear these things, I want to take a time machine into the past and just stay there forever.
I hear you, Eric. I'm 100% with you. If you are you one of those people who feels like you were born in the wrong era, too early, too late? I don't know, but for me, yeah, I should have been born like in the Revolutionary War times. I was like 300 years too late. So if you do happen upon that time machine, look me up. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Healthcare is complicated. It doesn't have to be. If you don't love how your health insurance works, maybe it's time to leave traditional health insurance behind. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM offers you flexibility. Enroll anytime, choose your own provider, and select the program that fits your needs and budget. CHM is the original faith-based way of taking care of your medical bill costs. Learn more at chministries.org/wellness.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV, RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the lake or clean out your closet? RV wins! Putting the dishes away or taking the RV camping? RV wins! Cleaning the fridge or taking a trip to the beach? RV wins!
You might want to clean the fridge real quick because, mold.
We clean out the fridge, then take the RV out.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states and situations.
Text from the Amish texter. Flaccid Penis was my Wham! College garage tribute band. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember. They killed with Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. I remember that. Maybe this was the problem with her daughter's flaccid penis. Low T? Yeah. Guys, if you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out your numbers by contacting my friends at Low T Center. They make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. They're health providers specializing in treating low T with personalized testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients, and, this is important, their treatment plans are optimized for each patient. They're not just basic standard dosage treatments. Also at Low T Center, you can get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So, get back to your best this year. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. Tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. Again, lowtcenter.com to book that appointment. lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Have you seen our energy bill? You'd think Elon used our furnace to power his rocket ships.
Very funny, babe. That furnace is 20 years old and probably hasn't been cleaned in 10.
I'll have Air Right Heating and Cooling check it out. They've seen it all. Plus, there's still time to take advantage of federal rebates. They even give AM 560 listeners $56 off any service.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at air-rite.com. That's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
But one of the things that we underestimated in the furniture industry is decorating around our furniture in our showrooms.
Ben and Arvid from Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Our accessorizing was terrible. And we were just too cheap to spend money on that, and we didn't know what to spend it on when we did. But today, you walk into our rooms, wow. Not because of us. That's because of Emily and her team and other team members we've had throughout the years. But I'm proud now to go in our showrooms and see where we were and where we are now as far as making them look really good.
PennyMustard.com.
I still can't decorate.
It's time to throw your overpriced big wireless contract overboard. With a qualifying plan, you can choose an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Galaxy for $0. Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. No hassle, no gimmicks, just honest-to-goodness wireless price right. Dial pound 250, you say the keywords Pure Talk, claim your new iPhone or Galaxy with a qualifying purchase from Pure Talk, which is America's wireless company. Visit puretalk.com for details.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, Dan. Got to check in on your golf game because last Friday you were off to hit the little white ball down the fairway.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't your club championship.
No, it was club championship.
Oh.
Yeah, it was club championship.
And I'm looking at your face right now. I think you're going to be delivering some tough news.
Yeah, and my putter failed me. Yeah.
Oh, so it was your putter's fault.
Well, I mean, it was the operator's fault, but yes, my putting failed me, and so I had lost a match. I should have won, and
how many strokes?
How many strokes? What
did you lose by?
It's not. It was match play, not medal play.
Oh, okay.
And we alternate match play 1 year, medal play another year. I had too many Kate Winslets. You know what a Kate Winslet is?
Oh, here we go. Why do I even do this to ourselves when we talk about... Okay, what is a Kate Winslet in golf?
A little fat, but otherwise perfect.
Oh, that's so rude. She is not fat. She's just big boned.
I had a couple of Yasser Arafats, too.
Okay, Dan. What's a Yasser Arafat?
Ugly and in the sand.
Oh my God!
There's a lot of them.
Well, can I just have a few more?
I got a few. I had a few O.J. Simpsons, which helped, but it wasn't enough. The O.J. Simpson.
What's
shot.
the O.J. Simpson, Dan?
Got away with it.
Oh.
You get away with a shot. Didn't hit a good shot, but yeah. What's that? I'm trying to. They're trying to cut me off, trying to play me off. No more.
We have time for one more.
The son-in-law.
Oh, what's the son-in-law?
Not exactly what I wanted, but I'll take it. Son-in-law shot.
That's really good. I'll use daughter-in-law. All right. Thanks so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Northwestern University to protect Jewish students